Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in. Welcome in. Friday. The weekend is here. Slightly biased PowerPoint stream is here. Let me tweet out that I'm live. And we'll get right into it. We have a busy stream today, actually. This could be a longer one. We are ranking every single NBA team's offseason. All of them. We're also doing NFL picks. I'm already 1-0 this week. Already 1-0. Picked the Eagles to win last night. We do have some brief NBA news to get into, which is kind of good. Give some people time to filter in. If you haven't liked the stream yet, make sure you do so. Helps me out tremendously. It's YouTube and having a great time, of which we are. Let me tweet out that I'm live. Let's find some good pictures. Grant Williams in a Mavs jersey. You know, obviously got to get the Mavs fans in here. Got to get the Mavs fans riled up. But I'm excited about this stream. I spent a lot of time working on the PowerPoint, doing a lot of research. Quick question. Would you trade Tim Hardaway Jr. for KPJ in a first? Oh, God. So obviously, this is a talking point. Listen, man. Let me tweet out that I'm live and then I'll get into it because I really want to articulate my thoughts right. Right, I really want to make sure I'm not just fumbling my words here. This is a delicate conversation. If we do the KPJ thing for a first next year, we would have 3 firsts for a potential trade. Okay, so first and foremost, get the first out of your head. They're not giving up this. The Rockets aren't giving up a first. That would just be stupid on their part, unless they're like getting a good player in return. Like the Mavericks aren't getting a first in any hypothetical trade, right? It's not happening. That would just be dumb on their part. They would be better off just waiving him or whatever the case may be. Hot topic point: since inside journalist Sly Bias revealed Tim Hardaway Jr. and Lucas secretly hate each other. I don't think I was the first one to say that. I also said I heard that from like 2 sources outside, so don't even quote me, and then I regretted even saying it. I regretted even saying it because, yeah. Yeah, but Tim Hardaway Jr. alone is maybe worth a protected first. Not from the Rockets, though. Not from the Rockets. It would be like a more desperate team who desperately needed shooting. I was also thinking around the draft. Like, look at when the Mavericks gave up a first for Christian Wood. I don't think any team was going to give up a future first for Christian Wood because you don't know what a future first could be. A future first, you don't know. You could have injuries, and all of a sudden that, look at the Mavericks this year, that first pick for that first round pick you thought was going to be in the 20s is now all of a sudden the 10th overall pick, and you just fucked yourself, right? Or trading future first also due to the stipend rule sort of hinders you from making other moves. But trading like a first round pick on draft night is a lot different because, you know, let's say the 24th overall pick, you don't really want to pick anyone. Okay. They gave $43 million for Fred VanVleet. Come on now. Yeah, but still, I mean, giving up if you're the Rockets, by the way, this is just so crazy to me, man. The Thunder have the Rockets pick this upcoming season from the Russell Westbrook trade. I think it's top 4 protected. I'm about to look that up to make sure I'm right, but let me tweet first. Live right now. ranking every team's ranking the off seasons from every NBA team. How high are the Mavericks? You know they're high, baby. Did the Suns do good or bad? The 76ers potential historically bad offseason and more. ... Purely based on vibes. Get in here. All right. You see how a master works? You just witnessed the master at work. Perfecting his craft. Tweeting. Why am I seeing like Debbie Downer up and down the fucking my Mavs timeline right now? What up, Bruno? All right. Let's talk about let's talk about this really quickly. I don't really care that much. Usman Garuba. I thought he was going to Barcelona, but no, he will be headed to. He will be headed to Golden State on a 2-way contract. I kind of like that for them, I guess. But I will say though, I'm not like I haven't spent much time watching Usman Garuba. Obviously, didn't play much really, but. The few instances I have seen from him, I don't know if he's an NBA player, but this is a good destination for him in Golden State. You know, playing alongside Draymond. I remember around the draft, people were saying like, "Oh, Garuba kind of like Draymond defensively," even though that's a little bit crazy to say. But there were people who were saying that, and it's a pretty nice pick for him. Pretty nice pickup for the Warriors, a first-round pick only a couple years ago. You know, take a stab at it, 2-way contract. Don't think it's game-changing or anything like that, but solid nonetheless. And then, okay, let's just the Kevin Porter Jr. stuff. So Kevin Porter Jr. is a piece of shit, right? Oh, this also happened earlier today. Jared Vanderbilt, 4 years, $48 million contract extension. That's nice. It's a nice number. So the Rockets are actively engaged with multiple teams on a Kevin Porter Jr. trade, incentivizing a deal with several draft picks, sources say, explaining the reason behind all of this.
Other teams, this is essentially just the contract of Kevin Porter, which has $15.9 million guaranteed for next season, and then 3 years non-guaranteed. So the real interest for other teams would be the draft picks where this team gets the assets. But of course, you have to weigh the optics of trading for someone who has multiple charges, including felony assault after the alleged attack on his girlfriend. And so you have to weigh the optics of trading and then likely waiving Porter. For Houston, their goal is to get a player in that can help them immediately, can play immediately. The other side is just getting the assets and also the financial relief that comes with trading for Porter. And so if you wait for the league suspension, you get a reduction on Porter's contract in terms of what goes up against your team's financial books versus being on the hook for that $16 million if he's waived right now. Whichever way this goes, Kevin Porter Jr. is nearing the end of his tenure, most likely in Houston and possibly in the NBA.
There's no way Kevin Porter Jr. plays in the NBA again. Unless there is some shocking discovery in this case, there's just next to no chance Kevin Porter Jr. plays in the NBA again. So I just can't get over how terrible the optics would be. I mean, even just like from a PR perspective, even if you're like, hey, listen, fans, like this is just purely a business, like strategic thing. We're just setting ourselves up a little bit more for the future. Kevin Porter Jr. is never stepping foot on the court for us. We're not even going to print jerseys for him. Like, he's not, for all intents and purposes, he never is on the team. The optics is still terrible, right? Because the casual fan will just get, they probably, if they have notifications, they probably got the Bleacher Report notification or whatever. They probably follow Shams and saw, oh my God, Kevin Porter Jr. is a piece of shit, right? Kevin Porter Jr. is a piece of garbage. I can't believe that. I can't believe someone would do that. And then, next thing you know, you're getting a notification that your team's traded for that guy. Even if I definitely do see the irony of like the Kobe stuff, the Kobe book background. Even if you're saying he's not playing for us at all, it's still wow. Like you have such low morals that you just like, just to get a step ahead business wise, you traded for a guy like this. So yes, the obvious trade, in my opinion, and it makes so much sense that there's no way they haven't talked about it, is Tim Hardaway Jr. The Rockets get some more shooting, right? The Mavericks get off of Tim Hardaway Jr.'s contract and get some picks in returns. But I think the Mavericks are going to be active at the trade deadline. Tim Hardaway Jr. gives you a contract. I guess you could still technically trade the Kevin Porter Jr. contract. Like, but by that point, he's probably going to be suspended or whatever. So you could trade Tim Hardaway Jr. You're going to need like contracts to trade. And right now, looking at your team, you don't really have like bad contracts. It's a good thing, but like, there's no, all right, if we're trading for a player at the deadline, this guy's definitely involved to make money work, and then we'll do whatever else we have to do. Maxey, I guess, would probably be. Maxey will probably be involved. But if they wanted to go out and get, let's say the Hawks aren't as good as they're hoping, and then they decide, Clint Capella's, like, we want to get off Clint Capella. We want Okongwu to start permanently for us, so we're going to trade Capella. Searched on your Twitter for thoughts on Nerlens Noel, who was waived, found none. None ever? I was like kind of in on Noel at one point, a long time ago. Now, not really. Are you saying now? Like, I don't really care that much about Nerlens Noel. I'm about to search my own Twitter to see what I've said about Nerlens Noel. Under the radar trade targets that might not cost every draft pick you own, but will certainly help your team. Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel, Jalen McDaniels, Mason Plumlee. I was on here a few months ago wanting Nerlens Noel. Please, they'll make him attend anger management courses for a year and then make us forget about it. No, I don't think in this case that's true. Why they forgive Bridges but not Kevin Porter Jr.? Both are horrible. But what was the verdict? I don't really remember the Miles Bridges case that well. Because this almost feels very cut and dry. And also, like, here's the reality. It's a harsh reality, but it is a reality. Professional sports are the closest thing we have to a meritocracy. Right? If you're good enough, teams are willing to overlook quite a bit. There are guys who have been, like, I can't think of any off the top of my head in the NBA, but in the NFL, there have been players who have been pretty closely tied to literal murders. Who it's like, this guy either straight up murdered somebody or was right there when someone got murdered. Who became legends in the sport. Miles Bridges is a better player than Kevin Porter Jr., and that's what it is. Full stop. If Miles Bridges were, I don't know, like a 8th, 9th, 10th guy, he's out of the league right now. Like, no one's even thinking about it. The 2 dismissed counts for charge of child abuse under circumstances or condition likely to cause great bodily injury or death. Jesus Christ. Like, I know if you have money, you're set when it comes to the legal system. But, like, conditions likely to cause great bodily injury or death. How are you not getting some prison sentence there? I'm not even like one of those one of those revenge-filled bury him under the prison guys. But, like, Jesus. I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember much from this. Was this like as public and like? It feels like with the Kevin Porter Jr. stuff, it was like this happened. We know immediately. This is true in real life too. You can be an executive with DUIs and shit. And no one cares. Yeah, but not because like corporate America is a meritocracy. Because corporate America, that executive you're talking about, his dad was probably the CEO before him, or whatever the case may be, right? Like that's what it is. And now you don't want to fire him because you don't want to piss off his dad. You don't want to piss off his grandpap. You don't want to piss off his uncle. Like whatever the case may be. Anyways, I just domestic violence for me is just like that's almost an immediate goodbye. I don't know. I don't know how your brain even gets to that point. Like it does not compute for me. You know, have I ever been upset with a significant other? Of course. Have I ever thought? I mean, it's just. Why are you with someone and want to do something like that to them? Yeah, that's how I've always felt about relationships. Like, if somebody you're with makes you this angry. I mean, I'm not a violent person to begin with. I've never been in a fight in my life. Like, I just. But if you're with somebody who makes you this angry, what are you doing there? Anyways, that's that. Nice jersey, slightly pat the goat. I mean, you know, I think about it from time to time. I'm like, it's kind of crazy. I went to college with Patrick Mahomes. Like, it wasn't like he was some crazy 5-star recruit. Like, everyone wanted him. Like, I was there when he was there. I was watching him do crazy shit. And I was always like, why is this guy not, like, going first to the fucking draft? It's insane what this guy does. On a dog-ass Texas Tech team. Which was dog shit. All right, so anyways. Is it time we get into the PowerPoint? This is a big one. This is a big PowerPoint. I spent a lot of time on it. I think we're at 130 slides. We are ranking every single NBA offseason. All of them. I thought about doing tiers, you know. I thought about doing grades. But ultimately, I decided the best course of action was to just rank them. It's better. It's more fun. It's more fun that way. I feel like it gives you a better opportunity to shit on people. Say you were dead last, the worst offseason. You had the 28th worst offseason, the second worst offseason. Crazy, this is supposedly due to him being locked out of his hotel room. Oh, the Kevin Porter Jr. stuff. Did you see the sports analyst Twitter guy said paying to the Bucks? I did see that actually, and I said that. What was it, last stream? Yes, this is from worst to best. Worst to best, the best way to go about lists, by the way. Like, I don't like I don't like when they do best to worst. It takes out a lot of the intrigue, in my opinion. Slightly Biased ranks every NBA offseason. Produced by Slightly Biased, written by Slightly Biased, directed by Slightly Biased, starring Slightly Biased. Executive produced by Martin Scorsese. That's right. I had some help on this one. So, should be a good one. Honestly, forgot about half the moves teams made this offseason. Since this offseason is so dead. Well, this is a good PowerPoint for you because we're about to remind you. Let's get into it. Number 30, dead last. Ladies and gentlemen, this offseason right here really has potential to go down as I think the worst offseason any team has had in the last 5 years. The more I think about it, the more I look at what this team did, the more the ongoing situation this team finds itself in, if they don't somehow weasel their way out of it, I think they're fucked. Not just now, but for the foreseeable future. And the team I'm talking about, of course, is the Philadelphia 76ers. Yep. It's been a terrible offseason for them for several different reasons. Let's start with who they've added. Mo Bamba and Patrick Beverley. That's it. This is a team that is hoping to contend. This is a team that, despite having the MVP, despite being a very competitive regular season team over the last 5 or 6 years, has yet to make it past the second round of the playoffs. Joel Embiid is now the only MVP in the history of this great league to not see the conference finals at least once in his career. By the time the next postseason starts, he will be 30 years old. And what did this team do? Mo Bamba, who is a donut, and Patrick Beverley, who's okay. Of course, they also brought in Nick Nurse. They got rid of Doc Rivers. That's a huge plus, in my opinion. Brought in Nick Nurse. That's a good job. We'll see how that works. We'll see how that pans out. They re-signed Montrezl Harrell, which I was not expecting them to do, but they did it. Okay? And they got poison-pilled into taking a hilarious Paul Reed contract that the Jazz are such trolls for giving that contract out. But they needed to bring back Paul Reed, and it was a good choice by them. A hilarious contract by the Utah Jazz that surely forced the Sixers to think about it a little bit, but I think they were always bringing back Paul Reed. But now they have what? Paul Reed, Montrezl Harrell. Montrezl Harrell's a donut. Let's just, at this point in his career. The Paul Reed contract. The Jazz poison-pilled it. Carlton's going to kick Tech's ass tomorrow. It wouldn't surprise me, actually. Why is Tech playing Tarleton? So the Jazz gave him a 3-year, $23 million offer sheet. And the offer sheet was with the incentives to dissuade the Philadelphia 76ers from matching the offer. One term of the sheet contains a unique twist. The first season of the contract is fully guaranteed, while the following 2 seasons become guaranteed if Reed's team advances to the conference semifinals. So he's making around $8 million a year. The Jazz basically said the first year is guaranteed. You know, if you sign with us, which he did, the first year is guaranteed. But if your team makes it past the first round of the playoffs, the rest of your contract's guaranteed. If they don't, it's not. So the Jazz were basically saying, we know we're not going to win a playoff series this year, so, you know, we're basically giving you a 1-year deal. No, you to go. Pretty hilarious contract. But again, you brought back Paul Reed, $8 million a year. I like it. Who did you lose? Well, technically they've lost nobody from their roster, at least nobody really notable. Oh, wait, no, this isn't true. I didn't finish this, my bad. They lost Shake Milton. They lost George Niang. So they did actually lose some legitimate guys. But they also lost their dignity. I'm sure many Sixers fans over the past few months have lost their sanity as well. James Harden is eyeballing the fat suit. He demanded a trade. He is openly basically admitting, yeah, I'm pretty much ready to fuck up this entire season. So I think I finished lights out. Well, the Sixers were the last team I did, so I just forgot. But he's pretty much openly admitted, I'm ready to fuck up the entire offseason. Where I think he's going to stay in Philly. But we'll see. If he plays, they'll still be good. If he plays and he's locked in and he says, all right, trade me if it's possible. If not, I'm just going to finish out the season and go somewhere else next offseason. If he plays well, he'll still be pretty good. But if it's so bad that they just have to trade him for pennies on the dollar, oh, it's going to be bad news. It's going to be bad news for their team moving forward. So you have the James Harden situation. And then you have the Joel Embiid situation. Let's not forget, Joel Embiid did have some interesting quotes to say in an interview. Sort of hinting at the possibility that he might be down to play somewhere else. What is this dog-ass website? What is this shit website? Joel Embiid, I just want to win a championship. Whatever it takes. I don't know where that's going to be, whether it's in Philly or anywhere else. So, of course, Embiid then, after this, sort of went viral a little bit, and people are like, oh, shit. Embiid's about to request a trade any given time now. Any moment. Embiid then went on Twitter immediately and was like, oh, I was just trolling. No, you weren't, buddy. We see right through the facade. We see right through it. You're not fooling anyone. All right? So I think a disastrous offseason for the 76ers. Again, you're in a competitive conference. You did not really get better. You upgraded coach-wise, you would like to think. But you didn't really get better as a team. And I'm looking at their starting five. I mean, James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, PJ Tucker, Joel Embiid. Okay. But you lose George Niang, who is a very solid bench player for you. Shake Milton was a very solid depth guy for you as well. And now, I'm looking at their depth. D'Anthony Melton, he's good. Patrick Beverley, okay. But Korkmaz, who was demanding a trade last year because he wasn't playing enough, now all of a sudden he's he's probably like a legit rotational piece for you. Daniel House Jr., Jaden Springer, you need to be good. Paul Reed, Mo Bamba, that's gross. I hate their offseason. Coming in at number 29, another offseason I do hate a lot. That is the Toronto Raptors. Yeah. The Toronto Raptors had another disastrous offseason. Just a long line of them, really, it feels like. Masai, he is not him. Okay? He is not him. We see right through it now. Here's who they've added. Grady Dick with the 13th overall pick. I liked it. I like the selection for them. They desperately need shooting. I'm going to read you the starting lineup for the projected starting lineup for them. This team desperately needed some shooting. So they get it in Grady Dick. Jaden McDaniels, who is okay. Obviously nowhere near as good as his brother. But I was so I was really interested in him as a trade target at last year's trade deadline, and he was just so disappointing for the 76ers. Just a complete ghost out there. The 76ers also lost McDaniels, who they traded for mid-season. Dennis Schroeder to replace Fred VanVleet, who they lost, obviously. No, I don't think I would say I love Dick. They added a world champion. I like Dick, though. NBA 2K knew they had to remove 69 with Grady Dick being added. They also locked up Jakob Poeltl, who they traded for midseason. Yeah, Dennis has a nice contract for them. And Schroeder's a good player. Schroeder's a solid player. They lost Fred VanVleet, obviously, for nothing. So this is why I also thought they had a disastrous trade deadline, because they also brought back Gary Trent Jr., I'm pretty sure. Did they sign an extension with him? Did that ever actually happen? Or did they just pick up his option? Anyways, this is why I thought their trade deadline was such a disaster. They were obviously a nothing team last year. And instead of just getting something in return for some of these guys, Fred VanVleet is out the door for absolutely nothing. And now all of a sudden, your team, you go another offseason where what is your fucking direction? Where are you going? This team is not good enough. This team is built like shit. Here is their projected starting five, okay? Dennis Schroeder, OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, Jakob Poeltl. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, who the hell is shooting on that team? Good question. No one. No one in that starting five can shoot. I have a hot take for this team I want to save because I'm going to do a hot take stream probably next Friday. A hot take for every single team. I might just hint at it here. Actually, I'll just straight up say it. I think this team has around 15% chance of finishing dead last in the East. I think they have a better chance at finishing dead last than they do making the playoffs. Like finishing as a top 6 seed. This team just makes no sense from a rotation standpoint. You have a completely new coach. Hold on, let me explain myself. You have a completely new coach who we don't know what he's going to be like. Right? You lose Nick Nurse, who most people consider a good coach. Maybe he ran his course in Toronto, but either way. And you do have a situation where, okay, holy shit, OG and Siakam are both free agents. We're 10 games under 500 at the trade deadline. We need to do something. We got to do something here. Because teams are going to come knocking. Teams are going to ask about those two. If the Raptors are trash. If the Raptors are trash, they might learn from their mistakes a little bit. I think this team's going to suck. I don't see it at all. They need like a huge step from Scotty Barnes. They need Siakam to be an All-NBA player again. Messiah is not learning shit, man. I mean, losing Fred VanVleet for nothing hurts badly. I think the Raptors can easily finish bottom 5. Yeah, I'm telling you, I really do think there's a pathway there for them to be dead last in the conference. Because talent-wise, the younger rebuilding teams are definitely worse than them. But, I mean, there's cases to be made for some of those teams. Like, well, what if Cade Cunningham stays healthy and has a huge breakout? Or what if Paolo has, like, a huge second-year breakout? What if, I don't know, the Wizards kind of suck, but they have a weird hodgepodge of talent. Like, they kind of remind me of the Jazz last year where they're obviously they're trending towards rebuilding, but they sort of have a weird collection of talent that they'll probably be pretty good. Fred played terrible consistently last year. He was still their point guard and their best shooter in the starting 5 at least. And obviously they also lost Nick Nurse. Just a terrible offseason. Like another one to add to this. All right, this next one is unpopular. Yeah. I'm planting my flag here. I'm planting my flag on this team having a really bad offseason. The more I look into it, whenever I was compiling this list, doing my research, I was looking at this team and just thinking, wow, this could be a fucking disaster. And for no reason, really. Any guesses on what team I'm talking about? I don't think you'll find too many places that will have this team ranked this low. Yeah. It is the Celtics. It is the Boston Celtics. I just really don't like what they did at all. The more I look at it. So let's see what they did. They traded for Kristaps Porzingis and then extended him $30 million a year. Gave up Marcus Smart, obviously, in that trade. Here's the thing. Kristaps Porzingis, the idea is interesting. This team needed a fucking ball handler, but not either way, right? You get another center. Your bigs are constantly injured. You can't rely on Robert Williams to stay healthy. You know, Al Horford's getting older, and he's kind of a question mark health-wise. So okay, I get that. You wanted another big to add to the mix, someone who could stretch the floor. Sort of Al Horford on steroids almost in that way. But Yeah, Kristaps Porzingis isn't the picture of health either. And he's already dealing with plantar fasciitis, had to miss the FIBA World Cup. And he was... I'm going to knock on glass because I don't want to make it sound like I'm rooting for anything to happen here. But he was abnormally healthy last year by KP standards. And that always scares me with players. That always scares me with players. Like, often injured players coming off of an oddly healthy season, that just worries me. Because, it's not like they're just magically healthy all of a sudden. I think he played, 60-something games, right? But he never dealt with any, injuries or lingering injuries, which is why he had such a good season. He was really good last year. 65 years. So he would have qualified for, All-NBA by the new rules. They also give Jaylen Brown the biggest contract in the history of basketball at the time, $288 million over 5 years. Just an absurd amount of money, but obviously that's the direction of the NBA. They had to do it, so I don't really fault them for that. The terrible postseason performances, that shit's not cute anymore now. Now you're making over $60 million a year. That shit's no longer cute. But they're going to be relying so heavily on two of the most injured guys in the NBA, Kristaps Porzingis and Robert Williams. They're going to be relying on those two to stay healthy. And if anything happens to those two, a 47-year-old Al Horford is going to have the entire fucking team on his back. And then on top of that, right? So I've seen, we could do this, and that with KP. KP had an unbelievable season. Shooting-wise, his efficiency, especially on post-ups, was incredible. Man, it just feels like last year was just a perfect storm for KP. I've seen Celtics fans who are like, yeah, and when we get late in games, we could do KP post-ups. Good luck. Good luck to you. It's not fun. And that shit's cool on the Wizards when they're in 13th fucking place. I wish you the best. Would it surprise you if he's gone by the deadline? Yeah, actually, that would shock me. What teams have you done already? We had the Raptors. The Sixers as the worst offseason in the NBA pretty comfortably. And then the Raptors, and now this is the Celtics. So we're only 3 teams in, so we're moving at a snail's pace. But anyways, if he's healthy and stuff, it does make sense. Your defense is going to be disgusting. He can space the floor. We know KP can pull from 30 feet, so. What up, Hoop Vinny? Why did your Twitter account get suspended? Yeah, but that's the problem, Paul. There's way too many ifs here, honestly. Way too many ifs. Then you lose Marcus Smart. Elon's afraid of you. You lose Marcus Smart, which, Marcus Smart regressed pretty massively last year. So this could be a smart move on their part. I know right now it sounds really stupid because he was kind of the heart and soul of the team. And was really their only playmaker. He was a big culture guy. But maybe they feel like, hey, last year was not an anomaly. He is regressing. And we want to get as much value out of him as possible before it becomes a little bit too late. So we'll see if it pays off. Yeah, they also got 2 firsts. They did some clever maneuvering on draft night. They lose Grant Williams for essentially nothing. Which I think is going to hurt them. They were very weird with it. Missoula was really weird with his minutes last year. Was in and out of the rotation, the playoffs, out of it entirely at times. And then checked back in when they really needed him in the Heat series. And he played really well in that series. Was a big reason why they kind of turned stuff around. Yeah, the Celtics also got Jordan Walsh, who I do like, and who's really good in Summer League. So Grant Williams, the loss of these two is going to hurt. Like, those are two rotational guys for you. Obviously, Marcus Smart is a major one, but I'm just very skeptical of this offseason. And now, like, the starting point guard role is Derek White. You know what? I think that he could be fine in that role. Really, I do. But if he gets hurt, then what? If Derek White has to miss some time, okay, Malcolm Brogdon. All right, well, Malcolm Brogdon is always fucking hurt. And he's currently hurt. He currently has some elbow thing or shoulder thing, whatever it is. I don't know. This team's like and like, I'm looking at it when I say, oh, this team's an injury away or 2 injuries away. Like, that's stupid because every team is an injury or 2 injuries away from being bad. But the Celtics case, these guys are always hurt. It's just... It's sketchy. All right, coming in at number 27. This one isn't any particular move this team did that was bad. It was just more so they didn't really do anything, and they probably should have. That is the New Orleans Pelicans. They're in a weird spot in their defense. They're in a weird spot where, like, they don't even know what their team is. Like, they have rarely ever seen the CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson trio actually healthy. So it's like, how do you build a team around those guys? We don't even know what they look like, but they needed to do more than what they did, I think. Like, the West is getting better and better and better. You had some glaring holes, I think, that you needed to fix, and you just didn't do anything. You needed a center. Yeah, Trey Murphy just got hurt, too. That's unfortunate. I'm happy you said that because I would have forgot to mention that. Trey Murphy is going to miss some time. It does sound like he'll be back by, like, mid-November. So, like, he's going to miss, you know, a giant chunk of time. But missing training camp and everything and preseason in the early parts of the season typically is not good for a player. It does not bode well for them for the remainder of the season. So they added Jordan Hawkins in the draft, which I like. I think he's a good player. Knockdown shooter. Probably the best movement shooter in the draft. So that's nice. They got him. It's a pretty good pickup. They bring back Herb Jones on a pretty solid contract extension. I like that too. So they didn't do any moves that I was like, ew, what the hell are they doing? They brought in Cody Zeller as well. The Cody Zeller move is like, so that they recognized they needed a center. They needed like a more traditional big. Jonas is great, but he's getting older. Pretty sure he's on the last year of his deal. And they just didn't do anything. They need a point guard. They didn't do anything. Jonas is good, but they lost Jackson Hayes, who I personally think is a donut. So, you know, whatever. Josh Richardson, who they traded for last trade deadline, you know, whatever. He was pretty good with them, but it's not like a back-breaking loss or anything like that. Garrett Temple, who, you know, whatever. I will say this about Garrett Temple. I always find this interesting. Anytime there's like one of those player polls where it's like, who's going to be the next NBA coach? Garrett Temple is always way up there. Which I always find really interesting. That's why I added him. It's not like really that big of a loss. Considering all the picks they have, it's strange they haven't done anything. Yeah, I think personally, if I had to guess, it was what I was saying earlier, where they don't even know what their team looks like. Like, they don't want to commit to making a big all-in move. Because it's like, what if this team's actually not that good? They were trying to trade for Scoot. Supposedly. They were trying to trade for Scoot without trading Brandon Ingram or Zion, which is like, you're not actually trying to trade for Scoot. You're not trying to actually trade up to 3. So, again, for the Pelicans, it wasn't anything that they did necessarily, but it was just more what they didn't do. What up, Wicked? I knew you would like this. Zion can I stay healthy? He's basically in the Roddy B cycle. Yeah, I mean, relying on Zion to be healthy is a death sentence because he's just not. He's just one of those guys. He's not going to be healthy. Coming at number 26. This is purely vibes based. Purely vibes based. Looking at the moves they made, you know, a couple of guys left this team for nothing. That ad midstream is crazy. Oh yeah, YouTube does the ads automatically now because I'll just forget to do it. I'll just straight up never do ads otherwise. So this team had some interesting pickups that I like. A draft pick that I liked. They brought back some very key free agents. They lost a guy or two that I kind of wish they kept. But it's a vibes thing with this organization. Where I'm leaving this offseason thinking, oh, trouble in paradise? That is the Milwaukee Bucks. So, their big moves of the offseason, of course, were mainly re-signing some of their key free agents. Brook Lopez, that one was up in the air a little bit. They brought him back 2 years, $48 million. He's getting up there in age, but he just had a remarkable season. They desperately need him. And it was kind of up in the air. Is some team going to go absolutely batshit insane with the contract to Brook Lopez? So they bring him back. Good work there. Chris Middleton, that one wasn't really up in the air. It was always known he was going to stay there. 3 years, $93 million. That's a nice contract. And he looked pretty good in the postseason last year. So hopefully they get Chris Middleton back, you know, after a full offseason of being healthy and stuff. He's back and ready to go next season. They really need him. And they also bring back Jay Crowder, which I honestly was not expecting at all. 1 year, $3 million. I did not think Jay Crowder was going to stay with the Bucks. So that's nice to bring him back. Think Giannis could be a Mav? It's not impossible. Yeah, they also brought back Thanasis Antetokounmpo. They also went out and added Malik Beasley. 1 year, $2.7 million. Okay, really disappointing with the Lakers last year, but he can shoot, and it's such a cheap contract that, you know, whatever. They drafted Andre Jackson with the sixth pick in the second round, and I like him as a player, so that's not that bad. And they also brought in Robin Lopez to play alongside Brook Lopez, minimum deal, whatever. Losing Javon Carter hurts. Especially now, I mean, Dropping Dimes 20 has said that they're probably going to get Campaign, which is a nice backup point guard option for them, but they don't their guard depth is terrible. Who is their backup point guard right now? I'm looking at their projected roster. Who is it? AJ Green? Like, is Andre Jackson going to walk into the team as the backup point guard? Like, Javon Carter was a very, very strong backup. Yeah, Campaign's a really nice pickup for them. And it actually might bump them up a spot or two on here if they get them. They lost Joe Ingles, Jinglin' Joe. You know, okay. I think Jinglin' Joe is approaching the end. And they also lost Wesley Matthews. So, not like major losses here. Javon Carter one kind of hurts. But obviously for them, the big, the reason why they're this low for me is the Giannis stuff is getting spooky. Never do you want your superstar talking about, yeah, you know, if I can't win here, I'll go somewhere else. Like that never really feels good. But I just this is just purely vibes based. In Giannis's case, it feels like he's planting the seeds. Am I wrong? It feels like he sees the writing on the wall, which is there. Like, this team is old as shit. They have no assets to replenish. It's pretty much once Giannis demands a trade, that's the start of our next chapter. I think he's planting the seeds, basically saying there's not a lot of future here. I'm probably going to go somewhere else. You are wrong. I mean, let's look at their team. Drew Holiday is old and has openly said once his contract is over, which is 2 years away, he's done. He's retiring. Chris Middleton is 30 and injured a lot. And I mean, what? He's not... Brook Lopez is old. And, like, the time for you to get, like, legit future assets for Brook Lopez is probably gone now. And, like, their young players are Andre Jackson, who we haven't seen play in an NBA game yet. And Marjon Beauchamp, who, like, the entire hype with him is just centered around a Pro-Am performance. It's just kind of rough. If they keep making playoff runs, he isn't leaving. Well, there's a difference between making playoff runs and wanting to win. If Giannis wants to win, it's clear and obvious the Bucks are, like, it has to be pretty much this year. So the vibes are just off. The vibes are off. Feel bad putting this team this low, but I don't think they've had a good offseason. I have faith in them as an organization. They have earned it. Obviously, they definitely earned it this past year. So I have faith in them. But in a conference where it's going to be very, very hard, and a lot of teams got better, I don't think this team got better, and they're relying on young guys, which I respect. It is the Denver Nuggets. I like their draft, right? Julian Strawther, Hunter Tyson, Jalen Pickett. One of these guys will be good for sure. And I know, like, there's people around the Nuggets I've seen who are just super high on this draft, who are like, they like love Hunter Tyson. There's they think this draft class is going to be really good and really help them. And at least one of these guys is going to be a contributor immediately, hopefully. But you really need it, is the thing. It's kind of the problem. They brought in Justin Holiday, 1 year, $3 million. Whatever. You know, we saw the Justin Holiday experience. Had some moments here and there. Minimum guy. Whatever. So this was the move right here that really puzzled me. They used their taxpayer mid-level, $5 million, to bring back Reggie Jackson. This was and they did this almost immediately. This was the one that puzzled me. I, like many other people going into the offseason, thought that, all right, look at what the Nuggets did last year. Look at what the Nuggets did for Bruce Brown, who they sort of took a flyer on almost, and I wouldn't even say rehab his value, but turned him into a $20 million player. Like, there would be someone out there, some like legit talented good player, to bring in for $5 million. Yeah, $24 million. Is Reggie Jackson not worth the taxpayer? He was not good for them last year. They needed a backup guard, though. So, you know, it kind of makes some sense. And maybe he's good this year, and it's the same thing we just saw with Bruce Brown, and some team goes out there and gives Reggie Jackson, like, the full mid-level or something the next year. But, like, yeah, like, Reggie was not playing by the end of the postseason. I don't know. I didn't love it. And then you lose Bruce Brown. That one hurts, but we saw it coming. But that's what happens whenever you take guys who, you know, have lower value around the league for some reason. You think you can fix them. You bring them in and you do fix them. That's just what's going to happen. You're going to lose those guys. You can't really fault them for that. The Pacers definitely overpaid, but they were in a position to do it. So I still like the move for them. They lose Jeff Green, the locker room guy. Interested to see if that has any effect. Obviously, Jeff Green is a player. You know, I don't know how much of a contributor he is at this point in his career, but an older vet guy who people just seem to love around the league. And Thomas Bryant, who's just not that good. They lost him as well. But they're just relying a lot on young guys moving forward. And it could work out. It could work out for them. I mean, I'm looking at their, like, Christian Brown. They're going to need to have a big season. I believe in him. He's good. Peyton Watson. There's a lot of Nuggets fans who are really high on him. They need him to be good. And then one of these rookies, Pickett, Strawther, Tyson, Colin Gillespie. Like, they're going to need one of these guys to, like, really step up for them. To me, it just feels like the Warriors offseason after the last chip. Not saying they'll be that bad. Moving on, though. They didn't really need to do much. And they didn't. But it's still like you look around at other teams, and it's like, all right, well, when you lose a huge rotational piece like Bruce Brown for nothing, obviously you were always going to lose him for nothing. So I can't like fault you for that, but you did lose him for nothing. I don't know. I can't say you had a good offseason. So 24. So we have sort of left the bad offseason territory. You know, we've sort of left the bad offseason territory. We're now approaching with upside in some of these cases. The Miami Heat. Here they are. Now, let me just say this. If they do not pull off a trade for Damian Lillard, they tank. They had a bad offseason. Jaime Jaquez they added. Looks like he'll be a solid player. Let me explain the Heat being here. Okay, let me get through it. Josh Richardson, who I think is actually a pretty solid pickup for them. I like that pickup. Josh Richardson returns to Miami. Bring back Kevin Love, who was their starting four. So he was their starting four. But they did lose quite a bit. They lose Max Strus. They lose Gabe Vincent. They lose Victor Oladipo, who I know was hurt. But they also, Donis Haslem retires. Okay. They lose Yurtseven, whatever. They lose Cody Zeller, whatever. Max Strus. I have seen Heat fans think that this is not that big of a deal. Who said it? Losing Gabe Vincent worse than losing Strus, Evan said. From Heat fans that I've seen, they seem to agree with you. Gabe Vincent is a bigger loss than Max Strus. They think that they can just replace Max Strus and it's whatever. Max Strus did not shoot well at all last year, but he's still a big body. He defends well. He plays hard. He is a shooter. Teams have to respect his shooting ability. Gabe Vincent was very good in the postseason for them at times. Victor Oladipo always hurt, whatever. So losing these two for nothing hurts pretty badly. Oladipo is he's with the Thunder now. I don't know if he's gonna stay there or what the deal is there, but it was a salary dump pretty much. So here's why I have them higher than some other teams. Look, the reality is a top 11, 12 player in the NBA demanded a trade and said, I want to be with the Miami Heat and the Miami Heat only. You are still in prime position to land Damian Lillard, okay? And if you get Damian Lillard, you are immediately, in my opinion, going to be the team to beat in the East. Damian Lillard, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo is fucking disgusting. Gaining Lillard will simply not make up for losing their entire rotation. No, I think it will. I think it will, actually. I don't think Dame's going to be in Miami. I think he will eventually. I don't know if it's going to be like Donovan Mitchell, where the trade happens in September, like kind of right before the season almost, or right before training camp at least. Or if it's going to be like James Harden, where it's a month or so into the season. That's a perfect fitting big three. Where does Dame, Jimmy, Bam trio rank in the greatest trios of all time? Hard to say before we've seen them. Talent-wise, it's pretty up there. I just don't see why Portland will do it. Portland has played its cards, in my opinion, right? I think if they were dead set on keeping Dame, they trade that third overall pick. If they were that desperate, they would have done it. I think they've played their cards by tanking the last two seasons, by drafting a point guard third overall. Like they're showing them like, hey, we're ready. Like we have our contingency plan. We have everything set up for the post Damian Lillard era. We're just waiting for it to happen. They want to move him, but it's not going to be Miami. I still think Miami's package is really not that terrible. I think it's going to happen. Yeah, I'm doing NFL picks at the end. This is gonna be a long stream. So this is why I have the Heat high. I really do think that. So Dame's agent leaking to Shams, even though they were told not to do this, but let's be serious. That hey, he wouldn't report to the Raptors. It is interesting to me. Like, why say that? Like, why hammer that point home? Jeremy Grant will get traded at some point. Assuming they do trade Dame and just tear it down. What's the starting five even look like if they lose either Caleb or Hero? I guess Richardson for Hero, but Love ain't starting on a contender. I think they would probably keep Caleb Martin. Dame, yeah, probably Dame, Josh Richardson, Jimmy, Caleb at the 4. Bam. It's a really good team. All right, next team up. I just want to say I do kind of like what this team did in a vacuum, actually. I have no real qualms with anything they did. Just what direction are we headed in with this team is the concern that's been there for like the last 2 years, and it remains there. You guys probably know who I'm talking about. The Chicago Bulls. I really like the Javon Carter pickup. I really do. Like $6 million a year. Just another really good defender to throw into this backcourt that's already just loaded with good defenders. Io and Caruso and now Javon Carter. I like that move quite a bit for them. Torrey Craig as well. Another just really solid under the radar pickup. I'm guessing they're Javonte Green replacement, where we'll talk about him here in a bit. I don't know, like, what's the deal with him? They bring back Io, 3 years, $21 million. Nice deal. Vucevic, 3 years, $60. Would I have done it? I mean, you don't really have a choice. This trade's such a fucking disaster for you. They bring back Kobe White, which is kind of nice. That was never a guarantee. It's like been weird for Kobe White. But they bring him back, 3 years, $36 million. He had a nice season last year. They lose Patrick Beverley, who they picked up midseason. You know, whatever. They lose Derrick Jones Jr. to the Mavericks. Hey! Javonte Green is still just sitting in free agency, which is something wrong with Javonte Green? He's not like amazing or anything, but I feel like he's a player most contenders would want, right? Like kind of a Swiss Army knife wing. Their leading players are not moving any needles besides DeRozan because Levine just does not fit this system. No, I mean, Javonte Green's definitely mid, but still. They also drafted Julian Phillips, 5th pick in the 2nd round. Again, in a vacuum, I like these moves, but it's also just like, what's the direction? At a certain point, you have to pick a direction. DeRozan's getting older. Vucevic's getting older. Your team's not good. But we don't know. Maybe there's zero market for Zach LaVine. Maybe there's zero market for DeRozan. And they're just like, you know what? Instead of trading these guys for nothing, let's just run it. Like, would we rather trade these guys for nothing and have a dog shit start to our rebuild? Or would we rather just, like, you know, maybe be a play-in team? I think people would be surprised by LaVine's value. He's good. And he was good last year. The next team up. We'll fly through some of these teams because some of these teams didn't really do much. The Clippers are here. I don't really have much to say about them, really. This isn't that they had a bad offseason. I mean, they didn't really... Like, they were just there. Kobe Brown, I do like. They picked him with the last pick in the 1st round. He looked really good at times in Summer League. I do like Kobe Brown quite a bit. And he's a bit of an older dude, so he might be ready to contribute sooner rather than later. They bring back Russell Westbrook for the minimum is absolutely incredible. That really is. He was good for them. He's still a contributor. Like he is. He just is. A backup point guard, and he's going to be starting for them, I'm assuming. But backup point guard. Remind us which Kobe you were a big fan of in the draft. Kobe Buffkin. Summer League scared me a little bit with him. I'm not going to lie, but I'm not ready to abandon it just yet. But Russell Westbrook at this price point is incredible. It really is. The KJ Martin trade was really good too. A future second round pick for a younger player. This is an old team. For a younger player who's solid and is going to be in the rotation for you. I don't really get that trade at all for the Rockets. But for the Clippers, it makes a ton of sense. And they also bring back Mason Plumlee 1 year, $5 million. They should, I think, be a little bit higher on here. Like, I'm just looking at it. They do lose Eric Gordon, who they picked up midseason last year. Which, you know, whatever. Their offseason was actually pretty good now that I'm looking at it. They should be higher. I don't know why I put them this low. Maybe because it was just kind of boring, but sometimes boring is okay. Yeah, Eric Gordon absolutely reeked for them. Okay, the Clippers should definitely be ahead of this next team. So let's just say that. This team had a very, very strange offseason. The vibes are weird. I liked some of their moves. Their big move was very strange. Didn't they also miss on the chance on drafting Cam Whitmore? The Clippers had the 30th overall pick. The Golden State Warriors. You guys really think the Mavs are going to be this low? You're out of your mind. A very, very interesting offseason. They bring back Draymond, which is good. It wasn't really ever 4 years, $100 million. It wasn't really ever up in the air, but it kind of was. There were some talks. I don't think they had to do offseason. I'll get to why. The Chris Paul trade is very weird. Very weird trade. This to me feels like a 2K trade finder trade. I say this term sometimes, but this is what this trade feels like to me. They wanted to get off Jordan Poole's contract. They just knew it had to be done, and this was just kind of what popped up. This is kind of what popped up on the trade finder, and they're like, damn, Chris Paul, like, maybe backup point guard, maybe like Steph becomes almost a shooting guard, like purely in Chris Paul, like, you know, sure. I don't know what it's gonna look like. The vibes are terrible with this already. I have to say, the vibes are really bad. This could be one of those things where 15, 20 years from now, like, you'll see pictures of Chris Paul on Twitter, if Twitter still exists. It's probably called Zen North by this point. You see a post on Zen North that says, remember this? And it's Chris Paul in a Warriors jersey. It's like, what a fucking disaster this was. Or Drake's teasing his new album, and people are quote tweeting it with pictures of Chris Paul in a Warriors jersey. If they collapse, does this prove CP3 is a curse? So we've seen historically, when Chris Paul goes to a new team, it really works when that team was never supposed to be great. The Thunder were supposed to be rebuilding, made the playoffs. Chris Paul is tremendous. The Suns were supposed to be good, but they were supposed to be like, all right, here we go. We're building. Boom. Finals, year one with Chris Paul. Rockets, never worked. They also bring back or bring in the draft Trace Jackson Davis, who I like a lot. I'm shocked he went as low as he did, but I do like him quite a bit. Podziemski, we'll see. I'm not convinced he's going to be a great player, but we'll see. A lot of people really like him. Dario Saric was a nice pickup, actually. Yeah, Zoomer haircuts. Zoomer haircut, for sure. I actually like Dario Saric as a pickup. I think he fits what the Warriors have going on pretty damn well. They also bring in Corey Joseph for like some guard depth. Here's who they lost. Jordan Poole. It had to happen. They had to rip the Band-Aid off. They wanted to get off that money. And here's the thing, right? Even if the Chris Paul addition does not work out, they turned Jordan Poole's, was it 4-year, 5-year contract into Chris Paul's expiring deal. So you gave up Patrick Baldwin Jr., who has some upside. You gave up Ryan Rollins, who some people, Warriors fans like, but Warriors fans would like me if I played on the court. A future first. You don't know how good Saric will be. Dude's been injured since the Suns finals run. No, Dario Saric is a nice pickup. That's why I said that. So I think the Warriors are going to flip CP3 for Jeremy Grant or something. It's very possible Chris Paul gets flipped at some point. But like the vibes with the Jordan Poole situation were very bad. Like they had to move on. And obviously you're choosing Draymond over Jordan Poole. And it does kind of feel like that was almost what it was. They also lose Dante DiVincenzo. That one hurts. It's sort of similar to the Bruce Brown one where you knew you were going to lose him. Like you couldn't keep him. Some team was going to pay him much more than you were able to, and that ended up being the case. Michael Green still free agent. Iggy, is he done? Like they lost him. It's interesting. I don't know how it works, to be honest with you. I don't know how it works. All right, moving on. This next team. This next team is similar to the Celtics in a way. Big moves. But my God, if this thing fails, which it has a fairly good chance to, this team is so absolutely fucked. Oh, in a way that I don't know if we've ever seen a team fucked. That is the Phoenix Suns. So, new owner comes in. New owner syndrome at an all-time high. Ishbia says, hey, I know you guys were playing a little bit coy with the Kevin Durant stuff. You didn't want to give up Mikal Bridges. You didn't want to give up this and that. Give it all up. You don't give a fuck. Do it. They do it. You have the opportunity to trade for a guy like Kevin Durant. Okay, I can kind of respect it, right? You gave up a ton. But I can respect it. But when a guy like Bradley Beal is available. Of course, they bring in Bradley Beal. Pick swap every year. They have pick swaps available. They don't have control of their picks, I don't think, at all for the next 7 years or whatever it is. They have access to firsts through swaps, but they don't have control of their own pick. For the next 7 seasons. Of course, Bradley Beal's making $50 million. He has a no-trade clause. This is a risk, for sure. Is Bradley Beal better right now than Chris Paul? Yes, I think so. I do think so, for sure. So you upgraded there. Chris Paul's hurt all the time. Bradley Beal's hurt all the time, too. I've seen Suns fans say, like, oh, well, Chris Paul's been hurt all the time. Guess what? Bradley Beal's hurt all the fucking time as well. All right? So now he is, at least at this point in his career. But Bradley Beal, okay, cool. They also bring in, here we go. Here's the list of all of the guys they brought in. Keita Bates-Diop, nice pickup. I like him. Bol, whatever. Drew Eubanks, all right. Eric Gordon, pretty solid pickup for them considering their situation. Chimezie Metu, pretty solid. Utah Watanabe, okay. They also got Jordan Goodwin in that trade. And they drafted Tumani Kamara, the 22nd pick of the second round. They also bring back Damian Lee and Josh Okogie, who were free agents. Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. That's your team. DeAndre Ayton as the wild card. We'll see. They also bring in Frank Vogel. They move on from Monty Williams, bring in Frank Vogel. They desperately need Ayton to be good. Here's the thing. Let's pull it up. Kevin Durant had an amazing season last year. You look at his playoff stats, they look good. If you watch the games, though, didn't look great. He's about to turn 35 years old, Kevin Durant is. His birthday's in 2 weeks. Happy early birthday, Kevin Durant. 47 games last year, 55 games the year before that, 35 games the year before that, and missed the entire season with the Achilles injury the year before that. So, Kevin Durant, almost guaranteed to miss time at this point, right? And pretty significant time at that. Like, those were all pretty significant chunks of time. Bradley Beal, 50 games a year ago, 40 games a year before that, 60 games a year before that, 57 a year before that. Now, in his defense, he was pretty much an Iron Man early in his career. He had back-to-back seasons of 82 games, 17, 18, 18, 19. But he just turned 30. And again, he's a guy who's been out with injuries quite a bit the last few years. And yeah, Devin Booker, also kind of a sneaky, Devin Booker is having to miss 3 weeks with like a hamstring thing. 53 a year ago, 68 the year before that, had to miss time in the postseason that year as well. 67 the year before that, shortened season. 70 the year before that, shortened season. So if just one of these guys gets hurt, it's shocking. It's jarring. Obviously, they lose Chris Paul, but they also lost some other like kind of key rotational guys. Troy Craig, Campaign, Jock Landale. Like, is Drew Eubanks better than Jock Landale? They should have tried to keep Campaign. That was a cost-saving move. They traded Campaign. They're like, no, we're doing this. This is genius maneuvering on our part. We're getting second-round picks, and we're getting trade swaps, and we're swapping all the fucking swaps, and this swap is that swap, and actually that swap is this swap. It's like, no, you guys are just trying to save money. All right, cut the shit. It's ironic you're talking about the Suns' injuries. Meanwhile, Mavs have the same problems, to be honest, plus no center. Mavs are deeper. Just way deeper. Also, the Mavs didn't give up every single thing they have moving forward for this trio. I actually think Booker can be okay as the point guard. Truth be told, I actually do think that. But we'll see, man. I'm not that big of a believer in it. And I am a hater. So, it could just full stop. I'm a hater. You know, just full transparency. Just want to be transparent. I am a hater. I think Bradley Beal is better than people realize, but look, the reality is it's been a very long time since we've seen Beal play and like on a very competitive team. He made the playoffs. What was that? 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, when Russ was there, but that team wasn't very good. Let's just be serious. It's been a long time since Bradley Beal's played. On like a team super serious about winning. Number 19. I actually kind of like this team's offseason a little bit. They could have done more. There's a chance they still do more. There's still some like small rumblings here and there of this team kind of being active in trade talks for some star level player north of the border. The Atlanta Hawks. Look at their draft. Kobe Buffkin, who I like a lot, 15th pick. Muhammad Guy, some people really love him. He's got a stain on his jersey already? How do you have a stain on your jersey at a press conference reveal? Seth Lundy, 16th pick in the second round. But he was too excited. They also brought in Wesley Matthews on a minimum. Patty Mills, they traded for him. I don't even know if he's going to play for them. We'll see. Their big move, though, was bringing back DeJounte Murray. 4 years, $114 million. Which, listen, I'm not like a very big DeJounte Murray fan. I just, he's obviously a good and talented player, but I just don't know on a winning team what exactly he helps you with that much. That might be the wrong word, but it's just a weird clunky fit. But this is 4 years, $114 million is good value. Like that's a very fair contract. So they did a good job there. Murray and Trey vibes are in the gutter. I think they like each other and stuff, but the fit is just weird. I mean, under $30 million a year is pretty crazy. And they lost John Collins, traded him finally to Utah, Rudy Gay, and a 2026 second. I think Rudy Gay got waived. Remember, we're only a year removed from those absolutely insane reports like, yeah, the Hawks are looking for like a Rudy Gobert return for John Collins. I never believed that. I think that was just somebody sent that out to a reporter and like was texting with his other exec buddies like, hey, watch this. Look how crazy. Look how upset Twitter is. I can't believe I said that. Like they didn't, like there's no way that's true. But they get off that contract. They also lose like Aaron Holiday. You know, they don't really lose anything really. And John Collins had a bad year last year. But the Jazz, we'll talk about them in a bit. It's a nice rehab project for them. But all in all, a pretty solid offseason for them. Would have maybe been better if they were able to like extend Sadiq Bey or something. Their front court sucks. Yeah, Capella and Okongwu is not bad. The Hawks aren't doing a damn thing this season. They probably aren't. Remember, this isn't a power ranking or anything. Coming in at number 18. So this team has the potential to skyrocket. Absolutely skyrocket. The moment they make the move, we all know what I'm talking about. The moment they finally pull the trigger, the moment they finally fully jumpstart their rebuild and get it under fucking way, this team soars, I think. Maybe into the top 5. But until then, they're just sitting here because it's been kind of a weird, bumpy road. That is, of course, the Portland Trail Blazers. Again, love what they did in the draft. Scoot Henderson, I think he's going to be a star in this league. Chris Murray, you know, probably not the highest ceiling guy, but going to be an immediate contributor. Ryan Rupert, I don't think he's going to be good. The Jeremy Grant contract extension sucked. I don't like it. I just have to be real. I get this is the direction the NBA is going in, where these guys are making this much money. But there's no way. Like, there's no way you had to give him that. $5 years with a player option, $35 million, $34 million annually, whatever it is. Like, I'm sorry, that's crazy. That's crazy. And then they bring back Matisse Thybulle, of course, the Mavericks made a pretty hard push for him. And yeah, I was fine with Matisse Thybulle. I didn't really care if they matched that or didn't match that, whatever. But if the Trailblazers did not match that Mavericks offer sheet, 3 years, what was it, $33 million with a player option on the third year? If I watched that Team Australia in the World Cup and watched Matisse Thybulle's performance, I would have been very scared. What's with the ugly 0-0 number? Well, what makes the 0-0 stuff even more confusing is that you're allowed to have 0 and 0-0 on the same team. So, obviously, I thought they knocked it out of the park in the draft. Very happy that they didn't do any dumb shit and just caved to Damian Lillard and traded the 3rd overall pick for, Julius Randle or some stupid shit. Like, I'm happy that this is the direction they went in. The Trendon Watford stuff, I don't get. Not that he's an incredible player or anything like that, but he's still young and he's shown enough flash where it's like, obviously some teams, the Brooklyn Nets scooped him up. Some teams were going to be interested in him. Just like letting him go for nothing. I still don't understand what happened there. They lose Drew Eubanks, an okay backup big. Cam Reddish, you guys know what I think about him. So, obviously for them, it's the Damian Lillard. Again, they trade Damian Lillard, jumpstart their rebuild, boom, they fly. If they don't trade Damian Lillard and he's on the team at the start of the season and it's weird, it's kind of a weird offseason for them. But I love the Scoot Henderson pick, obviously. They're just in a very, rare spot where their rebuild hasn't even technically really kicked off yet. And they're already going to be starting their rebuild with 2 really, really good young players in Scoot Henderson and Shane Sharp. And they still have Anthony Simons, who is still young and pretty solid. What if Scoot is him? They can be cooking with Dame. It's just not Damian Lillard, Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, Shane Sharp. What's going on? There's too many guards there that need stuff. Coming at 17. So this is where we start to get into all right, pretty good offseason territory. Every team from here on out had a solid to good offseason. And the Trailblazers will easily have a good offseason the moment they trade Dame. But if they don't trade Dame and they go into the season with Dame and it's weird, I think that it's kind of a eh. It's sad we'll probably not get to see Scoot next to Dame. I think it's probably for the best. The Orlando Magic are here at 17. I actually thought they'd be a little bit more aggressive, but I understand them not. They had a good amount of cap space. Thought we could see a world where they made a push for Fred VanVleet. But I also get not doing it because Markelle Fultz is legitimately good. They added Anthony Black, a pick that I really liked. I like Anthony Black a lot. Shout out to Dallas. Wait, Anthony Black's from Dallas, right? Yep, he went to Capel. Shout out to Dallas, the Big D. Jett Howard. Now listen, I don't claim to be a draft expert. This pick shocked me, but I want to say this pick didn't just shock me. Every draft expert I listen to is like, I don't know. I don't understand the process there. Outside of Jett Howard went to Michigan and we have a trillion Michigan guys on our team. That's just kind of it, I think. Yeah, nepotism. I mean, Jett Howard is going to be a first-round pick always, but 11th was definitely shocking. Ahead of Grady Dick. Ahead of oh my God, fuck. Ahead of Grady Dick. Ahead of Jordan Hawkins, the 2 shooters that everyone thought was just the 2 best shooters in the draft. They also bring in Joe Ingles. Overpaid him? Yeah, for sure. But again, they had money. It's a 1-year deal pretty much because I think it's a team option on the 2nd year. And it's a veteran presence. So I actually like it. I like that pickup for them. They bring back Mo Wagner as well. And their only loss was Bobo. So, a solid offseason. If they picked Grady Dick, I'd be a little bit higher on their offseason. We'll never forgive the Magic for not drafting Black and Dick. There's no way that went into the thought process, right? There's no way. There's no way they were like, dude, this is just going to be weird, and we don't want to sit through all the fucking jokes. Yeah, Bobo's on the Suns. Suggs Black Dick would go crazy. My cat's roaming around. Usually never out and about whenever I'm streaming. So he must be really bored. Coming in at number 16. Pretty similar to the Magic. Just a solid offseason. At some point, this team is going to have to be very aggressive. At some point, maybe at this deadline, or most certainly next offseason, this team is going to have to pull the trigger on a big move. They have the assets. They're ready to win now, I think. Didn't do that this offseason, but maybe the right opportunity just didn't present itself. I'm okay with that. I'm, of course, talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're probably their biggest addition. Obviously, Chet Holmgren's going to be there, so that's a big addition. But Cason Wallace, they trade up to the 10th overall pick to grab him, obviously, with the Dallas Mavericks. Take on Davis Bertans' contract to move up 2 spots. Great pick. Great pick. I like Cason Wallace a lot, but also a great move by the Mavericks. Let's not forget about Micic, who finally comes over. Interesting to see what his role on the team is going to be. I'm imagining since he's coming over, they probably told him he's going to have a pretty decent role with the team. Maybe he's the first guard off the bench or something. I don't know. But Micic is coming to Oklahoma City. A nice pickup. Yeah, I don't think he's going to OKC to be the 14th guy. So they bring in Victor Oladipo in a salary dump trade. I don't even know if he's going to play for them or what the deal is. I know he's rehabbing right now, isn't he? Davis Bertans, don't really know what his role is going to be either. And the only person they lost was Dario Saric, who they picked up midseason last year, right? So nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy. But they're going to have to do something crazy soon. That much is certain. If OKC gives him shit minutes, it's a colossal waste. I hope Micic would get a better situation. I really don't think Micic would just come over if they didn't tell him he's going to be playing a decent amount. All right, next up, this team had a sneaky good offseason, I think. This team had a sneaky good offseason. Who the hell is that behind Starch? Yeah, that's Lindy Waters. The Minnesota Timberwolves. They did a lot of good things. I'm very interested in seeing what their team's going to look like. They bring back Naz Reid, which was never a guarantee. In fact, around the trade deadline and stuff, it just seemed like a foregone conclusion Naz Reid would be on a different team. But they do end up bringing him back. 3 years, $41 million. Fair contract. Everyone loves Naz Reid. Sometimes a little bit too much. I'm just being honest, right? I think he's a great player, but sometimes it's just a little excessive. Re-signing Naz is such a weird move. Like, I just don't understand it. I get wanting to retain the asset. I'm still of the belief, like, I don't think Cat's finishing his contract with the Timberwolves at all, and I think they make this move with that in mind, just being honest. They also give Anthony Edwards his big mega deal, 5 years, $205 million. Well-deserved. I don't give teams that much credit for giving these guys, like, the rookie extensions, because it always happens, but we do have to point it out when they do. Bring back Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 2 years, $9 million. I'm still kind of a believer in Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He was pretty good for them. And will have to have a terrific year to deserve the praise he's getting. He will. He's really that guy. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is just a solid guard, pretty good defender. They bring in Leonard Miller in the second round. That was a great pickup for them. I don't understand how Leonard Miller fell that far, but a really good pickup for them. He looked good in summer. So I don't understand how they managed to grab him in the second round, but a really, really solid pickup for them in the draft. Shake Milton, 2 years, $10 million. That's a great contract. That is a great contract. That's a great get. I think he's just a solid role guy, but 2 years, $10 million for that is really good. They also bring in Troy Brown, 2 years, $8 million. I don't really know. I don't really feel anything about Troy Brown. I don't think he's a great player, but another cheap contract. They lose Jalen Noel, who I don't think is a good player, and Taurean Prince kind of stings, losing Taurean Prince, but you know, I feel like you have the wing depth maybe to make up for it. How can a team with Cat, Gobert, and Ant not be a solid contender? I don't understand what's wrong with them. They were hurt last year. Cat missed a huge chunk of time. They were still pretty good. Like, it's not like they were terrible last year. They were disappointing for sure. But a starting five of Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, like, that's good. Kyle Anderson, Naz Reid, and Alexander Walker, Shake Milton, like, that's pretty good depth right there. Jordan McLaughlin, like, would like to have a better backup point guard, for just being honest. But nonetheless, plus their meltdown last year, team chemistry is a question mark. I do think at some point Cat's going to be gone. I just don't know what that trade even looks like. Next team up, not a lot of moves at all. Just really two big moves. Not even really big, but two solid moves. But they were solid. Really solid. This team got better, I think. Smart contracts. And this team is well positioned, I think, moving forward to make a big move. That's the New York Knicks. Obviously, the Villanova pipeline they have going on right now is crazy. They bring in Dante DiVincenzo. I really like that pickup for them. DiVincenzo's a really, really good player. They also bring back Josh Hart on a very fair contract extension. What were the exact numbers on that? Yeah, to trade for Luka Doncic. I don't think Luka would want to go to New York, to be honest with you. What was the extension he signed? How are the Cavs not mentioned yet? They suck. The Cavs had a good offseason, dude. They had a good offseason. 4 years, $80 million for Josh Hart. Oh, it was $20 million a year. The club option the last year. That is expensive. But they needed to bring back Josh Hart, though. He was huge for them. I mean, they were a completely different team with him on the floor. They are pretty well positioned for an Embiid push. That's what everyone seems to assume. They do trade Obi Toppin to the Pacers for 2 seconds. It just wasn't working out. I don't think Obi Toppin's that great of a player, like an NBA player, should I say. It's just a weird fit for him in like the modern NBA, where you would need a guy like this to be really good defensively, and he's just not that guy. Derrick Rose also leaves. It was time. He just wasn't playing. I think this was a solid offseason. I love the DiVincenzo pickup. I like bringing back Josh Hart. You didn't really lose much. Just a solid offseason. Moving on, this team was busy, but, you know, in a vacuum, their moves were not that great. It feels like they didn't get as much value as possible from some of their players, but they finally made a move in the fucking right direction. Finally. This team has been just toiling in mediocrity for way too long, and they have now finally put themselves in perfect position to be bad and tank and rebuild the right way. I'm, of course, talking about the Washington Wizards. Their big addition was Jordan Poole. And look, you know what? Jordan Poole, for this Wizards team, dude, go out and score 35 points. Like, just go out and do it. You know, we're going to be horrible. We're going to be bad. Who else is scoring on this? Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma. Like, go out and score 35 points a night. 27 million this year, 29 the year after, 31 the year after that, 34 and 26, 27. Jesus. A big contract for Jordan Poole. But again, you're the Wizards, so like, who cares? We're going to be bad. What's the baddie situation on our nation's fine capital? Going to be a lot of interns in that building. Going to be a lot of interns. Bright-eyed. Hoping to make a change in the world. They haven't been fully beaten up yet by our evil political system. They still think they have a chance. Little do they know. Bilal Coulibaly, 7th is kind of... 7th was a little bit rich for my blood. Seventh was a little bit rich for my blood. Just a full-fledged project. Definitely has some upside, but again, like just a project through and through. But we'll see. The Tyus Jones pickup, under the radar, but good. I mean, he's going to be their starting point guard. And he's a guy who, I don't know, maybe you can flip him down the line to a contending team who needs a guard for some first or something like that. They also bring back Kyle Kuzma. Didn't really feel like that was going to be a thing, but it is. And again, you have to spend money. You got rid of your two big contract guys in Porzingis and Bradley Beal. Somebody has to get the money. Kuzma was really good for you last year. And if he keeps playing the way he played last year, some team at some point will give up a pretty decent amount for him. I like the confidence in Bilal. The potential is huge. The potential is definitely there. They lose Bradley Beal. They lose Kristaps Porzingis, obviously. It had to happen. It had to happen. Bradley Beal's no trade clause definitely puts you in a very weird spot. But I feel like you did the best with what you could. We were all laughing at him at first, myself included, but that was before. It took like days before they're like, oh, by the way, the Suns are pick swapping every pick they have left. And that's like, oh, that's actually pretty good. Porzingis, you maximize his value. Good job. They also lost Jordan Goodwin in that trade. You know, that's whatever. Monte Morris, who wasn't the best with you. Kendrick Nunn, whatever. DC had to do something to move on. They're never going to win with Beal. It's time to start over. Yeah, and they did that. And they do have some Utah Jazz in them from last year where they're like... They have some talent on their team. Like, they might win more games than people expect, but then eventually will end up being bad. But Tyus Jones, Jordan Poole, Corey Kispert, Kyle Kuzma, Daniel Gafford. Is that a great starting five? No. There's enough talent, though, there to beat teams. Next up, we have the Brooklyn Nets at 12th overall. They had a solid offseason. A solid offseason. I like what they did in the draft. They had back-to-back picks, 21st and 22nd overall. Noah Clowney and Dariq Whitehead. You see Dariq Whitehead in the boot. Clowney kind of feels like a more safer pick. Whitehead, there's some upside there. Dealt with injuries last year. Would have been a top 5 pick otherwise, probably. Some people say. I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't watching him play high school, so I can't tell you. But that's what people were saying. I'm actually going to tune into some Wizards games this year to see how Poole is as the guy. Wizards will be kind of fun to watch in a comedic way, I feel like. Hate those picks. They're not the best, but for 21st and 22nd, you know, Dariq Whitehead is good. They needed to do that. They also bring back Cam Johnson, 4 years, $94 million. He's a decent pass rusher. Not sure he's a good basketball player. They need some pass rush. Bring in Dennis Smith Jr. from the Hornets. A lot of teams passed on Leonard Miller, though. I really don't know what went on there. Dennis Smith Jr. was good with Charlotte last year. Like, legitimately good. Nice pickup for them. They bring in Lonnie Walker. They bring in a bunch of guys. Trendon Watford, who I like. They bring in a bunch of guys with cheap contracts just to, you know, you're probably not going to be that good. Like, you'll probably be in a play-in conversation, but bring in some of these young guys like Dennis Smith, Lonnie Walker, Trendon Watford, Darius Bazley. I think Darius Bazley is terrible. But bring in some of those guys for dirt cheap. Who knows? Maybe one of them flourishes. And you got a good player for nothing. They lose Seth Curry. He goes to the Mavericks in free agency. They trade Joe Harris to the Detroit Pistons in a salary dump. They trade Patty Mills as well. Utah Watanabe leaves. So a decent amount of turnover in Brooklyn. They're washing their hands of the KD, Kyrie Irving, briefly James Harden era. Pretty much everyone is gone from then, besides like Nick Claxton. Dennis was Brunson before Brunson. The Dennis hype was real. They also stopped Ben Simmons on their team, so he is still there. He's projected to be the first guy off the bench for them. I mean, this team, they really need a point guard. I actually thought the Nets would. If you guys remember my offseason predictions, I had Donovan Mitchell going to the Nets in a trade. Spencer Dinwiddie, your starting point guard. You guys know I love Spence, but he's not a point guard. Spencer Dinwiddie, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Dodo, Nick Claxton. That's not a bad team. That's a good old-fashioned, hard-working, blue-collar playing team. Nothing wrong with it. At a certain point, though, they're gonna have to do something because they don't have like Mikal Bridges is pretty old. Not like old, but what is he? 27. Cam Johnson's like 28. Claxton's still relatively young, but they don't have like a lot of young, great talent coming up here. Next up at 11. This team had a shocking season a year ago. Yeah, Cam Johnson's old. Cam Johnson came to the league, I think, 24, 25. Cam Johnson is 27. But will be turning 28 next season. Mikal Bridges is also 27. He just turned 27. So this next team, they're good. They were good last year. They had a very solid offseason. Very solid offseason. Some people thought they could be big players for some, for Jeremy Grant, maybe Draymond. For some reason in NBA 2K, Draymond always ends up on this team. I did a Mavericks franchise sim. I'm like 4 seasons in. Rebuild. We won 4 straight rings. I'm 5 seasons in, actually. 4 straight rings. And I didn't even do much. All I did was trade for Clint Capella year 1, pretty much. I'm talking about the Sacramento Kings. Brought back Harrison Barnes. That didn't feel like it was going to happen at certain points, but they bring him back. He's been a big piece for them. He's been there a long time. It's always weird to me when a player like Harrison Barnes, like some of these older guys, they start a career with the team, and that's kind of the team you associate them with, like Harrison Barnes and the Warriors. Then he goes and spends a good amount of time on like the Mavericks. Then he goes to Sacramento. And by the end of his career, it's like, oh my God, Sacramento was the team. No, we haven't got to the Jazz yet. Sacramento was the team he spent the majority of his career with. Like, it doesn't feel like it. 5 seasons with Sacramento, 4 with Golden State, 3 with Dallas. It's kind of weird. Is what I'm saying makes sense? We're like, damn, he spent the most of his career in Sacramento? Doesn't feel like it. I feel like Kawhi is kind of getting close to reaching that too. Oh, never mind. 7 seasons with the Spurs. Wait, I saw a crazy LeBron stat about how long he's been with the Lakers. 5 seasons with the Lakers, which is more time than he spent in Miami and more time than his second stint in Cleveland. Kind of weird. Anyways, the Kings bring back Harrison Barnes. They give Domantas Sabonis that ginormous contract. Okay, $40 million a year. It's expensive. He was obviously great last year, All NBA. I would say he definitely deserved that. You guys know, I just don't know what your team looks like in the playoffs with Sabonis. I don't know what your team looks like with Sabonis in the playoffs. They lose in round 1. He was absolutely slaughtered by Kevon Looney. We'll see. They also bring back Trey Lyles in free agency, which was Trey Lyles is a nice player. They trade for Chris Duarte, who was not very good at all last year, but, an intriguing player. Ball handler off the bench. They bring in JaVale McGee. I in a weird way, called this. My trade deadline prediction video from last year, I predicted JaVale McGee would get traded to the Kings. So, in a way, I was right. But JaVale McGee, after getting released by the Mavericks, signs with the Kings. They needed like a backup rim protector, but we kind of know that's not really what JaVale McGee is going to give you at this point, but okay. And yes, they also bring Sasha Vezenkov in, who was the Euro MVP a year ago. They bring him in, kind of a floor spacer guy. I don't really know much about him, to be fair, but I know he's a floor spacer guy. They pick up Colby Jones, 4th pick in the 2nd round. Jalen Slauson, 24th pick in the 2nd round. Just a pretty solid offseason for them, honestly. They lose Terrence Davis, who is still sitting there in free agency, which I don't understand that. I don't understand why Terrence Davis has not been picked up by anybody yet. Maybe there's still maybe that door's still open for him to return to the Kings. I don't really know that situation that well, but I feel like Terrence Davis should have been picked up by somebody at this point. They trade Rashawn Holmes to the Mavericks. Rashawn Holmes is out of their rotation. Just doesn't really fit what they were doing now with Sabonis on the team. And they lose Metu, who was a solid role player for them. But all in all, a solid offseason for the Kings, who look to build on a remarkable season a year ago where they were the 3 seed and hit one of the most healthy teams like in history. So we'll see. All right, the top 10. I think every team from here on out had a good offseason. Like the last few teams, I would say, yeah, they were good. These next 10 offseasons were like teetering on great for the team. And what you're going to see in the next 10, a lot of rebuilding teams, a lot of young teams. Those teams just kind of have it easy because they just need to do what rebuilding teams do. Draft well, trade your bad players. It's just kind of easy for them to have a good offseason. Because we're just looking at the process. We're looking at like maybe the guys they drafted. We don't know if they're going to be good or not. That's the next step. But just from the offseason perspective, it looks good. And we are starting with the Charlotte Hornets, who got a lot of shit, obviously, for taking Brandon Miller and not Scoot Henderson. But I still think Brandon Miller's going to be good. Listen, my 2K Sims, right? My Dallas Mavericks 2K franchise, the dumbass Trailblazers never trade Damian Lillard. Scoot Henderson's coming off the bench, and he hasn't developed whatsoever. He's like a low 80 overall, even like 5 years into the franchise. But Brandon Miller's a fucking dog. Brandon Miller is a dog in 2K Sims. At least the one I have. It's honestly been a long time since I've played like a 2K franchise. Is it like every single franchise you do, like the same players are going to be good? Or is there like some randomness there in how players develop? Because I used to play out of the park baseball, and that was one of the big benefits of that game was like, you never knew. Like random shit would happen all the time, and like random players would become really good. My math sim, I forced a Dame trade. I probably should have done that. The great ones are always going to be great. That's true. So I've kind of come around to the Brandon Miller pick a tiny bit, and that's due in large part to my 2K sims. Nick Smith Jr. was also a pretty solid pickup, 27th overall. I wasn't like super, like some people thought Nick Smith Jr. could be like top 15. I wasn't there for that, but 27th overall, I'm there for. They also bring in the French Prince, Frank Ntilikina. They're building a terrifying French backcourt, Frank Ntilikina and Killian Hayes. The other big stuff the Hornets did was bring back some of their guys, re-sign some of their guys, extend some of their guys. PJ Washington, 3 years, $48 million. That's a good deal for him. Good deal for the Hornets as well. Just that was a weird situation. That was a strange situation where it was like, are they bringing back PJ Washington? Like, what the fuck's going on? They do bring him back. Solid. The Miles Bridges stuff, obviously. We knew he was going to come back into the league. It's just the harsh reality. He was too good, right? Is he suspended? $30 games. So he's going to have to miss the first 30 games, right? Or was this last year? Oh, wait, 10 game. Adam Silver defends Miles Bridges' de facto 10-game suspension, says NBA had agreement for him to not play in 2022-2023. Effectively, though, Bridges was only suspended 10 games because while NBA officially called it a 30-game suspension and nearly every media outlet reported it as a 30-game suspension, he will only have to miss 10 games if he signs a contract with the team. So Miles Bridges will miss the first 10 games. He picked up the qualifying offer, so that means he's going to be a unrestricted free agent next offseason. So we'll see how this whole situation plays out. They also extend LaMelo Ball. They give him the super max or the rookie max, 5 years, $200 million. I think he deserves it. I think this Hornets team is going to be better than people think. I really do. LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller. This is what their projected starting five is on ESPN. I don't know if this is what it's actually going to look like, but LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, PJ Washington, and Mark Williams. It's not bad. That is not a bad team. With like Rozier, Gordon Hayward, Nick Richards, Cody Martin, Nick Smith Jr. off the bench. Like, that's really not bad. I do kind of wish they kept Dennis Smith Jr. Kelly Oubre, 20 points per game scorer last year, believe it or not. He's still a free agent. No team wants him. They lose Dennis Smith Jr. as well. I guess the door's still open for Kelly Oubre to go back to Charlotte, but I don't know. He's currently out there available for any team to sign. Of course, we also have this Kai Jones situation where I try not to like really look into this because I don't know what's going on with people. Like, this is why I personally hated the "that motherfucker is not real" thing from the plane because, dude, in my opinion, that woman was clearly having like a mental break, and I just think it's really weird for that stuff to be publicly discussed and have all of your business aired out like that. Kai Jones has been behaving in a weird way lately. A lot of speculation. I just don't really want to speculate, but it's kind of been weird. So just keep that in the back of your mind moving forward. I don't know what's happening with him. What's going on with bro? I mean, he's just had like some interesting Instagram lives and stuff. Some people think he's on drugs. I really don't think so. First and foremost, okay, he had a video where he was dancing and sweating and stuff on Instagram Live. Everyone's like, oh my God, he's off the perks. Guys, let me tell you, right? Perks do not do that. Percocets do not do that. I don't know where we got to a point where everyone was talking like Percocets were like cocaine or meth. Percocets are painkillers. They don't do that. So anyways, from what I've seen, he just kind of seems like an out there dude. So I don't know. Next up, this team had a really solid offseason. They want to contend. They're going to be without their best player for, what is it, 20-something games? 25 games, right? Isn't that what it is? Yeah, 25. I like what this team did. I like the trade they made. I'm talking about the Memphis Grizzlies, obviously. I like the Marcus Smart trade. This is the kind of player you needed. Also a veteran presence and a guy who's been in battles, a guy who's been in wars in the postseason. Obviously, I talked about this with the Celtics. There is some concern that he's just straight up regressing. But you get a playmaker. You get somebody who can hold down the fort for you when Jaw's gone. Just in terms of, running the offense. You also get a really good defender next to John Morant. A guy who's just been there. I like it. You extend Desmond Bane. 5 years, $197 million. We knew it was coming. And you bring in Derrick Rose, which I don't know what Derrick Rose is going to give you on the basketball court at this point, but this team just desperately needed bets. This team desperately needed a stabilizing presence. And Derrick Rose is well respected across the league. And I'm sure young guys, who grew up watching Derrick Rose probably love him and love him being on the team. So do you think that they still need a solid center because Adams is always hurt? Yeah, but I mean, Jaren Jackson Jr. is obviously better as the 4, but he can play 5. Xavier Tillman is really solid. They'll be okay. They're a very deep team. They lose Dylan Brooks, which, I mean, the idea of Dylan Brooks, if you could just reel him in and be like, dude, we need you to stop shooting so much. He would be a great player. But I get why they just needed to move on from him. Santi Aldama as well. They also lose Tyus Jones. Don't sleep on that. Tyus Jones was one of the best, if not the best, backup point guard in the entire NBA. They moved him in the Marcus Smart trade. That could come back to bite them. But I do like this offseason for them. These are 2 big losses. These are 2 key rotational pieces for them. But I think Marcus Smart's going to be really good for them. I think it's a great pickup for them. Tyus has become one of those players that's called underrated by everyone. So now it's at the point where he's just properly rated. Everyone understands he's good. Yeah, Dylan Brooks might be approaching some type of underrated territory, which is crazy to say. Jaren Jackson Jr. is demolished while playing at the 5 in the Western Conference Finals. Yeah. Or not Western Conference Finals, but in the playoffs, you mean? Oh, World Cup. That's a different game. It's a different game. That was Steve Kerr's dumbass fault for not understanding FIBA is a lot different. Obviously, the John Morant suspension. That's something you have to factor in, too, with this offseason, because that did happen during their offseason, technically. So hopefully John Morant is just, let's get on the right track, brother. Let's leave all of this shit behind, all right? You are a mega millionaire. You are the face of an NBA franchise. You are damn near the face of Nike. The face of Powerade. Let's leave this shit behind us. All right, let's move on. Even in the playoffs, he couldn't match AD. Bro was being harassed. See, okay. I do agree. Jaren Jackson at the 5 is not ideal, but he can do it in the regular season. I think it's fine. Yes, obviously against a guy like AD, he's going to struggle. Coming in at number 8. This team drafted my favorite draft prospect, my darling draft prospect. I love him. I think he's going to be very good. They might have overpaid for a guy, but I think it was worth it. I think this team is really positioning themselves to be good. We've already talked about Atlanta. Come on. Who was my draft crush? The guy, I had him 3rd on my big board. I was banging the table. The Pacers, yes. The Indiana Pacers. Jarris Walker. They draft him 8th overall. They also draft Ben Shepherd with the 26th overall pick. I think Jarris Walker's going to be great. And this is a team that has desperately needed a 4 forever. And I think Jarris Walker can be that guy. Maybe day one even. So, a great pickup for them. And they traded back to get him. I don't remember. What did they get in that trade? Ben Shepherd's a pretty solid pickup too. So, a nice draft for the Pacers. They bring in Bruce Brown, obviously. 2 years, $45 million. A big contract. But they had money to spend. It's essentially a 1 year deal. Omax did cook Jarris Walker in the Summer League. That is true. And listen, we're going to talk about Omax here in a bit. All right? So hold your horses. A big contract for Bruce Brown. But it's essentially a 1 year deal. I like it for the Pacers. You know? And again, you needed a 4. Listen. Bruce Brown can do it. We've seen it. Bruce Brown can do it. Do you want him to do it? Can he do it? Yes. They also bring in Obi Toppin, so another guy who could hypothetically fill in that 4 spot. Obi Toppin to the Pacers has been a thing for forever, I feel like. I'm pretty sure I predicted him to go there in my trade deadline prediction video, too. Walker's health thing's a bit scary, don't you think? Yeah, maybe. What's he dealing with right now? Is it an elbow? Minor surgery to remove loose bodies in his right elbow. At least it's not a leg injury. Elbow injury, we can kind of work with. Leg injury, scary. They also give Tyrese Haliburton the rookie contract extension, the max contract, 5 years, $205 million for Tyrese Haliburton. They trade Chris Duarte away. It was just kind of time, especially with Benedict Mathurin and stuff. Like he was just kind of going to continuously slip down the rotation. Andrew Nembhard as well. They also lose O'Shea Brissett, who went to the Celtics. Who, again, you didn't really lose much. James Johnson, the dogs are on the way. James Johnson, gone. George Hill, gone. George Hill's still in the league. Can't believe Pacers will start Obi over Walker. It'll be interesting to see what they do. And this is a deep team. So this is what their projected starting 5 is. Their projected starting 5 on ESPN. I think Benedict Mathurin's probably still going to come off the bench. Tyrese Haliburton, Ben Math, Buddy Hield, Jarris Walker, Miles Turner. Then off the bench, Bruce Brown, TJ McConnell, Andrew Nembhard, Obi Toppin, Isaiah Jackson, Aaron Nesmith. That's a deep team. That's a pretty deep team right there. That's a good bench. So I was arguing with my friend around Brunson and Hallie. I think Hallie is better than Brunson, but my friend disagrees with me. What's your take on this comparison? They're just such different players. Honest to God, I kind of feel like Haliburton's maybe a little bit better. They're pretty close though. If you had a team, who would you choose? It would depend on what my team needs. If I was going ISO ball, I want Jalen Brunson. If I just need a facilitator, I want Haliburton. The next team, another rebuilding team. They had 2 first-round picks. They made a couple just really smart trades. They did this last year where they traded for a veteran guy, got him for basically free, and they really rehabbed his value, and now he's like a really big piece for them, and they could easily trade him if they wanted to for a first. They extended one of their bigger guys, didn't really lose much of anything. Not the Jazz. It's the Detroit Pistons. Detroit basketball. They bring in Asar Thompson, who looked very promising in the Summer League. They also bring in Marcus Sasser, 25th overall first-round pick. Smaller guard, but he's a dog. I think he's going to be a good player in the league. They also bring in Monte Morris via a trade. I like that pickup a lot. Monte Morris, just a veteran guy. Again, they did this last year with Bojan. Obviously, Bojan's better than Monte Morris was, but bring in these vets. They get Joe Harris as well. Bring in these vets who cost next to nothing. And, maybe they help you win immediately, or they play well for you and you can trade them down the line. I think Ivy can start, and you got Monte Morris come off the bench. And Joe Harris. So it's a big year for Ivy, honestly. An up and down rookie season. Yeah, and they bring in Monty Williams. That's true. I did forget. Admittedly, I forgot about the coaching stuff. So, and they bring back Isaiah Stewart or not bring him back. They extend him 4 years, $60 million. That's a very solid extension for a guy like Beef Stew. Asar can play the wings. That's like one of the benefits of the Thompson twins is they don't have to be guards. They're projected starting 5, according to ESPN, Cade, Jay Nivey, Asar Thompson, Boyan, and Jalen Duren. That's, for a up-and-coming team, that's pretty damn solid. Beef Stew off the bench, Monte Morris, Alec Burks is still there, Joe Harris. And then you have, this clump of guys, James Wiseman, Killian Hayes, Marvin Bagley. But nonetheless, a very, very solid team. A very, very solid offseason as well. They lose Corey Joseph. He goes to the Warriors. Hamidou Diallo is still just floating around in free agency. Not a great player, but a really strong defender. Kind of shocked we haven't seen a team make a push for him, but either way, good offseason for the Detroit Pistons. This next team, the top 6, made a trade that could pay off in incredible ways. Buying low on a guy who was once pretty good. Once like a teetering all-star. Some people thought. Borderline all-star. 3 picks in the first round. And they did pretty good with those picks. That is, of course, the Utah Jazz. Coming in at number 6. 3 first-round picks. Taylor Hendricks, 9th overall. Keontae George, 16th overall. Keontae George was very good in Summer League. Bryce Sensabaugh, 28th overall. Unfortunately, Bryce Sensabaugh dealing with some type of injury, but 28th overall for Bryce Sensabaugh is nice. He's got, I think he had the deepest bag in the draft. Just a great score. Kind of excited to see what he looks like in the NBA, to be honest with you. Taylor Hendricks, who we, Mavs fans, we all liked a lot. So, really nice for a young team to draft 3 pretty solid players. They trade for John Collins. It only cost them a 2nd-round pick in Rudy Gay. Whatever. You're the Jazz. You're not trying to be great immediately. You're trying to do this. You're trying to take stabs at, John Collins is still 25. He's about to turn 26, but you give up next to nothing and you get a player who's been really good at times throughout his career. And if he doesn't work out, you know what? So what? You didn't really give up anything. You're not trying to be good immediately. And if it does work out, well, then great. You got a good player for next to nothing, or you could trade that guy down the line. So would you rather have had Hendricks or Lively? I had Hendricks higher than Lively on my big board. Collins will be good next to Kessler. Yeah, John Collins start at the 4. Markkanen at the 3. They also bring back Jordan Clarkson. Give him a contract extension. Here's the projected starting 5. Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, Lauri Markkanen, John Collins, Walker Kessler. Probably not going to be a great team. But, they got some gas moving forward. They got some stuff to work with. I thought this was a really good offseason for them. Good job in the draft. I love when teams do this. Rebuilding teams. It's just a smart thing. Let's go ahead and take the guy whose value is diminished, and let's just see if we can rehab it. Playing team. They'll be competing for it. Yeah, it is a giant team. That's the thing about Lauri. He can play the 3, and he does it well. So Jazz still need a point guard who can handle the ball and play make. Well, yeah, Mike Conley would fit really well with this squad, but can we swap a Mavs guard for a Jazz power forward? Who would we give him? They lose Damian Jones, Rudy Gay, Juan Toscano Anderson. So nothing really that crazy. Didn't really lose much. No offense to these guys. God bless them. But let's just be real. So a solid offseason. A solid offseason for the Jazz. This next team won the lottery, literally and figuratively. And that's pretty much why they're here. They had a lot of money to work with. I kind of thought they'd be a little bit more aggressive. Talking about the Spurs, obviously. I kind of thought they'd be a little bit more aggressive in free agency. And to their credit, I think they were. They were players for Brook Lopez. You know, I thought maybe they'd be like, all right, let's just see what we got. If Wembanyama's even like 75% as good as we think he will be, like we'll be pretty good immediately, hopefully. No, they didn't even offer Reeves. So Wembanyama, one of the maybe the best draft prospects since LeBron James. They also get Sidi Sissoko, who's built like a fucking tank. But he was a guy who had some first round buzz. They got him in the 14th overall in the second round. So obviously, like Victor Wembanyama is carrying their offseason. Need I say more? They bring back Trey Jones, who's a super solid point guard. Bring him back. They trade for Reggie Bullock. They get a pick swap from 2030. So that's just really good process by the Spurs right there. Bring on Reggie Bullock. Help the Mavericks get Grant Williams. You take Reggie Bullock's contract. You get a pick swap in 2030. Just really good process. You also bring in Jetty Osman from the Cavs in a trade. You know, whatever. It's Jetty Osman at this point. Every year, the first is the best since LeBron. No, that's not true. It hasn't been really since like Zion that there was some hype about that. They didn't really lose anyone. Like their biggest loss was Keita Bates-Diop. George Niang gone too. I forgot. I didn't even know he was in the league. Romeo Langford. That's Gary Gullible Jr. That's not Gary Gullible Jr. I don't even know who Gary Gullible Jr. is. Yeah, they did waive Campaign, who is reportedly according to Dropping Dimes 20 on his way to the Bucks. The day Diop signed with the Suns, Twitter acted like he was prime Iggy. Keita Bates-Diop is nice. But yeah. He's just nice. That's it. This next team, woo, they were busy. They were busy. It was an offseason that at first I kind of laughed at and scoffed at. Like, oh, what the fuck are they doing? What's going on over there? What are they up to? But as time has worn on, I've sat down, I've looked at it, I've thought about it. I actually like what they did. And a draft prospect that I was a little bit too harsh on, I've seen the light. I'm talking about the Houston Rockets, of course. Let's not forget, one of the biggest moves of their offseason is bringing in Ime Udoka. That's like a big gift for them. Steven Silas, you know, Mavs legend. We all love him. But it was bad. Reports were bad about it. It's hard to judge coaches. We don't really know. But the reports were never very good for him. Who have they added? All right, well, let's get into it. Fred VanVleet, 3 years, $128 million. Team option that third year, so basically 2 years. You paid him a lot of fucking money, right? No two ways around that. You had to do it. But you finally get a stabilizing force offensively, which this team has desperately needed. So good job on that front. Dylan Brooks, 4 years, $80 million. Did you overpay for him? Yes, probably. I think it's going to work out, actually. I never was like, oh, Dylan Brooks sucks. I was never really on that train. I think Dylan Brooks is solid. He's a really good defender. And if you could just reel him in. Like, I was 100% in on Dylan Brooks mid-level to the Mavericks. Of course, he got way more than that. But if you could just reel him in and just somehow get through to him, that you don't need to shoot that much, he could be a really, really good player for you. Now, you pay a guy $20 million. Good luck telling him to not shoot that much. Because you pay a guy $20 million, and it's like, yeah, you pay me $20 million. I'm going to fucking shoot. Are you crazy? Jeff Green, you bring him in. This says 1 year, $6 million. Spotrac said 2 years, $16 million. So I don't know which one's right, but I know it's essentially a 1-year deal, whatever it is. Jeff Green, veteran presence. One of the more well-respected vets around the league. Then Jock Landale, 4 years, $32 million is a big overpay for Jock Landale. But we did see in the playoffs, I mean, hey, man, he was like doing a decent job against Jokic. Probably as good as anyone else did in the postseason. And the Suns were way better when he was on the floor versus DeAndre Ayton. Right? That's just reality. And obviously, they had a tremendous draft. I mean, Amin Thompson, 4th overall. Again, I've seen the light on him. I still scared about his jump shot. He only played 1 game in Summer League, and he knocked down 1 3. He went 1 of 1 from 3, but the shot just looks so shocking. I'm just not. It has to get there. For him to reach his ceiling, which his ceiling is huge. His ceiling is massive. For him to reach that, though, that shot's going to have to come around. But nonetheless, he's incredibly quick. I mean, just beat everybody off the dribble in Summer League in the brief time he did play. They had no chance. Good playmaker, good defender. And then Cam Whitmore, who fell all the way to 20. I was never really that high on Cam Whitmore, to be honest with you. But there was like rumors that the Rockets were looking to target Cam Whitmore 4th overall. And you get him at 20? It's a good draft. So I've thought about it. The more I thought about it, the more I like what they did. They needed some stabilizing presence. They had so much money to spend. They needed to do it. I would much rather them have done this than to trade for James Harden. Would much rather them have done this than sign James Harden. Who else? Who did they lose? They lost Josh Christopher, whatever, Usman Garuba, who's signed with the Warriors today. The KJ Martin trade, I don't understand it. I still don't get it. They also lost like Ty Washington, but I don't really think any of these guys are doing much for you, to be honest with you. KJ Martin is a solid player. I don't understand why they did that. Coming in at number 3. The Kevin Porter Jr. stuff as well, yes. I purposefully left that out because it just feels a little bit weird talking about it and just being like, oh yeah, holy shit, how does this affect the basketball team? But yes, it does affect the basketball team. Coming in at number 3, this team, they made some great moves. Some very smart draft day trades. They bring in some defenders. They re-sign their big free agent. It was a great offseason for our... No! They're not 3! Top 3 and they're not 3. 3 is the Cleveland Cavaliers. New to the channel, salute to Slightly Biased. In the chat, Brooks has a chance to be more than just a good player. He's got defense already. The playoff game a few years back, he broke out against the Jazz. Yeah, I like Dylan Brooks. I think that's a pretty solid get for the Rockets. Here come the Cleveland Cavaliers. Another offseason where, honestly, at first, I was like, You know, it feels like you overpaid a little bit to fill a need. But the more I've thought about it, I think they actually did a really good job. Max Strus, George Niang, this team desperately needed a 3. Like, just somebody who could fill in and play the 3 in a big postseason game. Somebody who could even play the 4 if Jared Allen is shitting in his pants and you need to put Mobley at the 5. You know, whatever the case. You bring in Max Strus. 4 years, $62 million. A bit of an overpay, sure, but you needed a guy like him. He's big, he can shoot, he can play defense. He should be able to slot in, start for you, play in the playoffs. He's been to the finals. Been in deep playoff runs. George Niang, you bring him in 3 years, $25 million. A bit of an overpay, maybe. That seems about right, actually, now that I've thought about it a little bit more. You bring him in. Just a solid player, can shoot and defend. Every one of those 3s is tiringly mid. They are mid, but it's an improvement on what they had. Like, it was either... hopefully, Isaac Okoro is shooting tonight. Like, not just making shots, but actually shooting. Because you'd just be so scared to shoot sometimes. Or nothing. They bring back Karis LeVert, 2 years, $32 million. I think that's second year's an option. I could be wrong, though. But I actually like what they did. They also trade for Damian Jones, who's kind of an interesting player. They drafted Imani Bates, who looked pretty good in Summer League. We'll see. They signed Ty Jerome. Whatever. They lose Jetty Osman. It was just time. Lamar Stevens. I think Lamar Stevens is pretty solid. Lamar Stevens also with the Spurs. Did they waive him too? Didn't they waive him? I get that, but it's like, where does that get you? You know, the thing is, though, the reason why I'm also saying they had such a good offseason, you have to look at the process. They didn't have a lot of money to move around. It's not like they could have gone out and made a big play. They just traded all of their trade assets for Donovan Mitchell. They don't have a lot of trade assets, so they made do with what they had. And that led to Max Strus, George Niang, just solid players who can help your team immediately. All right, number 2. Yes, again, it's a team. Great draft night trades. Bring back your star free agent that some people thought could leave. You know, it was a very good offseason for this team. A very good offseason for this team. You can't be mad at it at all if you're a fan. There's some things that they could have done better, but that you could say that about every team. It is the Dallas Mavericks. No! It's the Los Angeles Lakers. That's right. That's right. You know what that means. No, Cam. Boston was like 28th. The Lakers had a good off. The Lakers made so many moves. I just went on Basketball GM or whatever that website's called, and I just screenshotted the list of their moves because I wasn't finding pictures of every fucking player. For like the 4th year in a row, the Lakers have a ginormous roster overhaul. But I think they did a really good job, actually. Jalen Hood-Schifino in the draft. It could not work for him. We'll see. Maxwell Lewis is a good pick. Jackson Hayes is a donut to me. I don't think he's good, so whatever. Here's who they brought in free agency. Taurean Prince, that's a really good signing. Taurean Prince, 1 year, $4.5 million. Really good job. Cam Reddish, whatever. I don't think he's a very good player. I don't know who the hell this is. Gabe Vincent, I love that pickup for them. 3 years, $33 million. You needed a guard who, when D'Angelo Russell is just doing D'Angelo Russell shit, you have a guard now who's been there, who can just be a stabilizing force for you and play good defense. Christian Wood, you guys know how I feel about him. But you know what? For like a veteran, for the minimum, it's hard to beat that. It's hard to beat that. And here's all of the extensions they had. And this is not including Jared Vanderbilt, who they re-signed today. So they re-signed Jared Vanderbilt today. They bring back Anthony Davis. 3 years, $177 million. Is it scary paying Anthony Davis that much money at this point in his career? Yes, but again, you had to do it. They bring back Rui Hachimura, 3 years, $51 million. That's actually more money than I was expecting him to get, but nonetheless, you bring him back. Austin Reeves, 4 years, $53 million is an absolute steal of a contract. Absolute steal. Like, that's insane value. It really is. And they do bring back D'Angelo Russell, 2 years, $36 million. This is the most obvious. We are signing you because we are trading you later. We need contracts to trade. You are that guy. That's the most obvious move of all time, in my opinion. D'Angelo Russell will almost certainly be traded at some point in the not so distant future. But AR is like 27, already in his prime. Yeah, but still, it's a cheap deal for a player as good as him. Who did they lose? Again, a large list of names. Mo Bamba, Donut, don't care. Malik Beasley was not good for them. Troy Brown Jr., Winion Gabriel, Dennis Schroeder, solid player, but I think, Gabe Vincent, probably better than Schroeder. Cole Swider, Tristan Thompson, who is back with the Cavaliers, by the way. And Lonnie Walker, who had some moments for you, including carrying you to a postseason win against the Warriors. That was still one of the most insane things I've seen in a while. But a busy offseason for them. And that leaves us to number 1. You always knew who it was going to be. Like, did you expect anything different? Honest to God. And I think I'm right too. I don't think there's even a hint at any biasness here. I think this is just objectively fact. Truthfully. I think this is an objective fact. Great draft. I think the best draft. Obviously, you didn't get Wembanyama or whatever, but Derek Lively, who I think you were always drafting at 10. You move back to 12, get off Davis Bertans' contract, create a trade exception. You then use that trade exception to take on Rashawn Holmes' contract, which lands you the 24th pick that you then use to draft Olivier Maxence Prosper. Oh, Max, who I absolutely love. Just an unbelievable draft for you. Derek Lively might be a bit of a project, but I don't know, man. There's some hype around him that's getting a little bit fun. Paul with the $5. Donation to the Slightly Shocked Club. You guys are really that shocked, huh? In an ideal world, Derek Lively has like a Walker Kessler-esque rookie season and is ready to play immediately and is not nearly the project we thought he could be, and he's helping you win games immediately. Omax, I think, is going to be a phenomenal player for you. You bring back Kyrie Irving. Keep in mind, this was no guaranteed thing. 3 years, $120 million with a player option, I believe. Year 3. So you don't give him 5 years, which some people were laughing at the Mavericks about. You don't pay him $50 million a year. You bring back Kyrie. It was your priority. You do it. Great work. You bring in Seth Curry, 2 years, $8 million. Welcome back. 3rd time in Dallas for Seth Curry. He just loves it here. What can you say? Clear and obvious Tim Hardaway Jr. replacement. I would be utterly shocked if Tim Hardaway Jr. finished the season as a Dallas Maverick. Grant Williams, you're welcome. You are. You're welcome. $4 years, $53 million. Fits this team like a glove. Can start at the 4. Plays defense. Very versatile defender. Can shoot. A pretty decent playmaker, which opens up a lot of things for you on, pick and roll scenarios in the short roll. And could also play up a position and does a decent job as a small ball 5. So just a really, really good pick. Really good pickup. And a guy who's 24 years young. So he still fits into your timeline. He's young. Just a really great signing. Fit like a glove. And a guy who's been there. I mentioned this in a video. I talked about him. Guys 24, I think 25 years or younger. Or 24 years or younger. Nobody's played in more playoff games than Grant Williams, and it's not even remotely close. Yes, he's also Batman. Team got way younger. Yes, this is also why they're number one, guys. Not only did the Mavericks get better as a team, they got younger, which they desperately needed to do. So they got younger and better in the same offseason. Take some credit for getting them. Don't worry, I already have. You guys are welcome. They bring in Rashawn Holmes in a trade. We'll see how that works. We'll see, we'll see what type of opportunity Holmes gets. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he's on the end of the bench. Just being honest with you, that's just kind of what I feel like is probably going to happen. Derek Jones Jr., you bring him in, $2.7 million 1 year. Love that contract. Love what he brings to the team. Another guy who's pretty young, but also athletic, versatile. Seems like he'll just be more of a situational guy, not going to play a ton of minutes, not going to be somebody you rely on or anything like that, but a really solid player to have. Dante Exum, hey, he was really good in FIBA. And there's like a lot of optimism around him. So we'll see. I'm not like FIBA did get me a little excited, not going to lie, but I'm not going to like, I'm not going to put much stock into it because I've already been hurt doing that many a times, like Frank Ntilikina and stuff. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm mentioning it, I never really was super in on Frank Ntilikina being much. They also brought back Dwight Powell, one of the moves of the offseason. 3 years, $12 million. Teams were offering him $8 million for 1 year. But how's that possible? Because I've been told he fucking sucks and everyone hates him. I don't know. Just something to think about. Just something to think about. Who do they lose? A good amount of roster turnover here. Davis Bertans. Reggie Bullock. I will miss Reggie. Justin Holiday. Best of luck to you. JaVale McGee. Best of luck to you. Frank Ntilikina. Best of luck. Theo Pinson. The door's still open for him to somehow find his way back on this team. On his podcast, which by the way, I didn't even realize. Their podcast like hits me up. The I guess the company or whatever it is that, publishes their podcast, like messages me clips. I didn't even realize it. They did bring back Markieff, but there's I don't even know if that's really happening. And they also lost Christian Wood. Doomer, 14 months on the side of the delusional club. 14 months, wow. You still told me to take Clay over. No way I ever told you that. That's a damn lie. You're lying about me in front of my community. So, let's, was it a flawless offseason for the Mavericks? No. If they got a center somehow, cheaply, yes, it would have been just a perfect offseason. Here's the thing, right? I wanted the Mavericks to do one of two things this offseason. Either get younger, either say, all right, we're not really as close as maybe we thought we were, so we're just going to get younger, right? Or get better. Say we're committing to it. We're committing to being a good team. We need to get better. You did both. You got younger. You set yourself up better for the future, and you got better in the process. That's a very difficult thing to do. They pulled it off. They pulled it off, too, without a lot of assets. Just very smart maneuvering on the front office's part, which is not something this team is known for. So this is why, and by the way, I think the center position will be addressed. I think that the Mavericks will be a team at the trade deadline who's making moves. So it's bad when you're pumping up a former Celtics 10th man. He was not their 10th man. Grant Williams was an important player for them, and Joe Mazzulla, who everyone universally hates, was fucking out of his mind whenever he didn't play Grant Williams at all. Woods is a snowflake and ensure he will fit the Lakers like a glove, but bro is a cancer, just invasive, and will contaminate the rest of the team with a poor work ethic. Well, I can't say that. I don't know if that's true or not. I will say on the I don't remember what podcast it was, but Tim McMahon was talking about Christian Wood, and he was saying he's a nice guy, and like the teams like him, but it's more so just buying into a role and playing defense. On paper, this is the best Mavs offseason of the last 5 years. Oh yeah, it was the low post. Wait, okay, this is we're done with this PowerPoint anyways. So, wait. Hold on a second. This is completely unrelated. We are moving topics. What's this? The difference in Modern Warfare 2 versus Modern Warfare 3 remastered maps is crazy. Wait, there's a new Call of Duty this year? I thought that they were taking a break. Wait, didn't Modern Warfare 2 come out last year? So wait, they're remastering the original Modern Warfare 2 maps in the new and upcoming Modern Warfare 3. Am I getting that right? You think Vooch to the Mavs is more likely than Capella? Will Vooch even be eligible by the trade deadline? Probably. How's Starfield going? Haven't played it in a week, but I'm wanting to play it this weekend. Been playing 2K. Okay, so this is just so dumb. Oh my god, terminal. They're gonna suck me in, man. There's no way I would have bought this game otherwise. High rise. This bit brings me a tear to my eye. What do you think about Starfield? I love it. It has its flaws for sure. It's not a 10 out of 10 game like I was hoping for, but it's fucking good, and I'm having a lot of fun playing it. Which is all that really matters at the end of the day. Modern Warfare 2009 was the one that blew caught up. That one was probably the one, like, COD 4 was the one, really, I think, in my opinion, but all right. It's been a long stream. Let's close it out here strong. NFL picks. That was a great PowerPoint. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Great PowerPoint stream. If the Rangers make the playoffs, would you consider streaming any of the games? Yes. Listen, Kenny, I promise this, and you can hold me to this, and I will not come back. I will not walk back on this promise. Knock on glass. I will not walk back on this promise. If the Texas Rangers make the playoffs, I will stream games. I will stream the games. Not here, though. I'll do it on playback. I'll do it on playback. Or Twitch. One of the two. Not here, though. I don't want to flood this channel with, like, Ranger shit, because people don't care. I thought of, like, 7 of you. Peace out, Winter Fox. All right. Is B-Dot here? B-Dot always fucks off whenever we finally talk. B-Dot cries and cries and cries and cries and cries about us never talking about the NFL. Then we finally do it, and he's gone. I did a great job picking last week. Great job. I'm 11-5. Let's continue it. Let's continue to let's keep going strong. Falcons and Packers. Who did the Falcons beat last week? Saints? No. Panthers. Dog ass game. Didn't even watch it. Packers blew the doors off. Blew the doors off the Bears. This feels like a trap. This feels like a trap where the Packers win week 1 so big. Everyone's like, oh, shit. Here we go. It's on. The Packers are going to be really good. Oh. Lose to the Falcons. Boom. Falcons win at home. Just purely vibes, ladies and gentlemen. Purely vibes. Raiders and Bills. Raiders with a shocking win. A shocking win a week ago. Jimmy G's just a winner. The Bills coming off of a disaster performance on Monday Night Football against the Jets. First game at home. They need a win. You know. You definitely left. You definitely left. I'm going with the Bills. New COD looks good. I didn't even know a new COD was coming out until this moment. For some reason, I really thought that they were taking a break. I just don't understand. So Modern Warfare 2 dropped last year. Why didn't you have the Modern Warfare 2 maps in Modern Warfare 2? Why are you putting Modern Warfare 2 maps in Modern Warfare 3? And why the fuck, like, this shit is so dumb. Why is it Modern Warfare 3? I don't get it. 2-year break. They saw that money coming in. They said, hey, guys, listen, you're not taking a break. There will be no break. I think the Bills win in dominant fashion. Bengals, Ravens. Oh, this is a juicy, juicy matchup. Really disappointed by the Bengals week 1. Joe Burrow. More like Joe shit. Am I right, guys? Ravens didn't even look that good, though. Here's the thing. The Ravens didn't look that good. Burrow's hurt. Wait. Like, is he not playing? Joe Shiesty, more like Joe Shitty. A good one. That one's clever. The clever one. The Ravens didn't look that good against the Texans. Like, almost like a false sense of security win. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, we won. But you look like dog ass. Bengals just got destroyed by the Browns. First home game. They pulled the Sally bias and didn't keep up with their promise. Cough, Star Stream, Ranger Stream, Fantasy Draft Stream, Prize Wheel Punishments, etc. First and foremost, we did do the Prize Wheel Punishments. Then I got a copyright strike and got banned from streaming for 2 weeks. So we did do that. Never promised the Ranger Stream. That is a blatant lie. Did I promise a Star Stream? Yes. Did I go back on that promise? Yes. Did I watch a single second of Stars hockey at all this year? No. Fantasy Draft Stream? You're just pulling shit out of your ass. Burrow's 1 of 5 against the Browns in his career now. Always bound to lose the game. Listen, let's not overthink it, right? The Bengals bounce back here. Let's not overthink it here. Lions and Seahawks. Detroit coming off of a massive win. On the road, week 1 against Kansas City. They have extra rest. Seahawks looked real bad. Do they bounce back, or do the Lions really start to solidify themselves? Let's think about it. Detroit's going to be absolutely rocking. First home game of the season, you just beat the Chiefs. You're 1-0. That stadium is going to be insane. I'm going Lions. Chargers and Titans. Ryan Tannehill, more like Ryan Tanna shit. Am I right, guys? More like Ryan Tanna will throw an interception. 3 interceptions in week 1. Chargers coming off of a heartbreaking loss. He will be benched after this L. Is it that dire? What's the defense situation for the Chargers? Can they stop the run? 3 interceptions in a week. What is he, Dak? I made a center on my career and they moved him to the 4 for Pal. So I made a Draymond build, right? Playing the 4, can be small ball 5. I pass, I shoot threes. I'm great on the perimeter defensively, great interior defensively. I regret choosing the Mavericks. Luka is horrible to play with in 2K. Just terrible. I hate it. It's a horrible experience. He shoots everything. He shoots everything. I think the Chargers win here. That was just such a shitty performance by the Titans. Bucks and Bears. Okay. See here. Tampa Bay, a shocking win week 1 to some. Over the Vikings. Not to me. I picked them to win. First home game. The Bears coming off of an absolute shit fest where they just got destroyed. Baker's got a little bit of swag to him this year. You see the clips floating around of him talking shit on the field after the game about stealing signs. He says, I'm a Rangers fan, not an Astros fan. Love you, Baker. Never loved him before, but I love him now. This is a toughie. Did the Bears bounce back? I'm not even convinced the Bears are good. Why would we? The Bears were fucking tragic last year. Why am I supposed to automatically assume they're going to be good this year? Because we're going to pretend that Justin Fields is good? Why? He's not. We've watched this guy for 3 years. Guess what? He sucks. All right, God bless him, right? But he's terrible. God bless him, but he's horrible. I'm going with the Bucks. Chiefs and Jags. Oh, Jags, 23%. Some people think the Jags have a chance. Chiefs, Travis Kelce is playing. I heard Taylor Swift's going to be at the game. Travis Kelce is playing. Chiefs against the Jaguars. Chiefs coming off of a loss. The Jags played the Chiefs pretty tight in the playoffs last year, didn't they? Or am I just making something up in my brain? I got the jersey on, baby. Chiefs Nation. How's it go? Red Kingdom. The Chiefs starting 0-2 would be crazy. I think they come out swinging. I'm kind of surprised 23% have picked the Jags, though, to be honest with you. I'm confused slightly. Do you like football or not? I'm coming around, baby. I'm coming around. I'm not going to lie. Colts and Texans. Battle of shit here. The Toilet Bowl. The Colts looked pretty good last week, actually. I was watching this game. I'm making a stance, guys. I'm going to try my hardest to not talk about gambling at all on this stream. I'm thinking about making a deep dive video into gambling. I think it's really bad. I do. I think we've reached a point of no return, and the cat's out of the bag too far. And there's going to be some disastrous consequences for how open gambling has become. Okay? It should be like cigarettes, where if you do it, you're a loser. Degenerate, you can do it, but everyone's going to think you're a loser and gross. The same thing should be said about gambling. You can do it legally, but everyone's going to think you're a loser if you do it. That's the way it should be. But I will say, now that I've said that, I was watching this Colts game because I did win a decent amount of money. All right, the Colts, the Jags covering against the Colts, and they almost fucked themselves. The Jags did. They scored 2 late touchdowns to make that game feel like a bigger blowout than it was. Who did the Texans play? They played the Ravens last week. Texans are... What am I even doing? Texans are trashed. The Texans are trash. Anthony Richardson, all the way. Rams and 49ers. Rams shockingly 1-0. Puka is already hurt. Puko, he's already hurt. 49ers. Jesus Christ, they looked good, huh? Damn, they look good. It's the Niners. Shout out to the Rams, though. Nice win last week. I picked them, of course, so I expected it. So, not that shocking to me personally. But for other people who are doubting me in the chat throughout the entire process, I get it. Trust me. Giants and Cardinals. What? Huh? Couldn't pay me to care about this game. Zach Wilson against this Cowboys defense. Oh. Wow. What you're going to see on Sunday might be illegal. It might be illegal. The Cowboys defense is going to have Zach Wilson seeing Joseph Smith. He's going to be hit so hard and so often. He's going to time travel to the mid 1800s in the Utah area. And he's going to have 8 wives. And they're all going to hate his guts. And he's going to be murdered by one of them. Cowboys by 36. It's going to be barbecue chicken. Calling it now. Cowboys lose. We have a couple sneaky injuries. No. The Cowboys are prone to trap games. This is not one of them. Washington Commandos versus the Denver Broncos. God, who cares? Jesus, what a shit game. The Comrades looked absolutely terrible against the Cardinals last week. The Broncos are terrible. Oh my God, who cares? We'll go with the Comrades. Sunday Night Football, Patriots and Dolphins. You want to know something? Here's a reason why. You know, anytime Bill Simmons comes up, I say I listen to the podcast and I like it. You guys are always like, why? What the hell? Ew, why? Here's why. Here's why I still think it's really funny. All week on his podcast, Bill Simmons has talked about how, well, why don't you just stop Tyreek Hill? Like, you don't think Bill Belichick's going to know how to stop Tyreek Hill? Why don't you just put 2 safeties? I don't get it. I've watched football for 40 years. Every weekend, I watch football. Why don't you just put 2 safeties? Dolphins are going to destroy him. They're good. Because he picks Boston's teams and then cries when they lose. That's the only reason I listen to Bill Simmons. Yeah, and it's hilarious. It's what makes it incredibly funny to me. Well, okay, someone explain this to me. You keep it up with Ahsoka? No, but I'm going to watch it at some point. Someone explain this to me. Why are there 2 Monday night games at the same time? What's going on there? Oh, one of you just tagged me in the Eagles guy rapping. I'm not going to watch it. I don't like cringe stuff. They do that every year? No, they don't. A Monday Night Football game at the same exact time? No, they don't. Week 1, they usually have a first game and then like a West Coast game. No, they don't, dude. The same time every night, same time on a Monday. Not a Monday night game like 7 p.m. and then a West Coast game right after. The same time. Saints and Panthers. Saints look pretty good. I think the Saints are good. I'm going to them. Panthers look like shite. To start the season, they've had it happen before, 2 games at once. Man, I'm 28 years old. I only spent 1 year not watching football. You guys aren't fooling me. Steelers and Browns. Wow, the Steelers were terrible last week. This feels like one of those. The Browns came off of a pretty shocking big win, and everyone's really high on them, and everyone's really low on the Steelers because they just got shit on week 1. And then the Steelers win, right? Like, they're at home. Are they going to really go 0-2 to start the season? 2 home games? I don't know. This is a letdown game for the Browns. Yeah, this is a vibes pick through and through here. I'm going Steelers. How many total points have we scored? Oh, it's not going to be fun. I'm going to guess 28. Just not going to be a very fun experience. So let's see. I picked the Eagles to win. Some of you were saying, no, go Vikings now. Going Falcons. Going Falcons with a shocking win. I'm going to bust. I guess I got my swagger back. Oh, yeah, I saw this. These are sick. These are sick. Insanely cool. Bills, Bengals, Lions, Chargers. Those are 10 out of 10 jersey almost. Bucks, keep it rolling. The Bake Show. Chiefs. Colts. Going chalky here. Not a lot of upsets. Just feeling like one of those weeks. The Commanders on the road. And then the Steelers. Lock it in, baby. Do I have to lock it in? Okay, all changes will autosave. All right. Well, damn, this has been a long-ass stream. It was a good stream, though. I needed a bounce back. Wednesday stream I wasn't proud of. Not my best work. It was fun. You know, by the way, I got hit with like 15 different copyright claims from that stream for watching the mascot videos. So that's just the way it goes. But I just had to throw something together. Ads and counting. They're gonna keep coming. Just wait until I get sponsored by someone for real. Thank you guys for coming out, all of the OGs. You guys know I love you very much. Could have spent your Friday afternoon anywhere in the world. You decided to spend it here. It was a fun stream. Great PowerPoint stream. Remember, you can always go back and watch these. There's a playlist if you guys missed it. I mean, we pretty much got right to brass tacks in the stream immediately. We're not messing around. I will be back live again, probably on Monday. I say probably because there just might not be anything to talk about, but we'll see. NFL week to talk about, I guess. I mean, the viewership plummets when NFL comes up. The opposite of the real world. But that's just the... I feel like a lot of NFL fans, like, I don't know. It feels like diehard NBA fans. There's not a lot of crossover. There's some, but not a lot. Anyways, I'll see you guys again on Monday. You guys enjoy your weekend. New subscribers, I promise you guys will not regret it. Content's starting to ramp up dramatically. Donations, members, thank you guys so much. You never have to do that, but it helps me out tremendously. It makes me feel so good. You guys enjoy your weekend. Be safe. Have a good time. Love you all. Goodbye.